The world is composed of only two things: the weight of the wool and the weight of the wind. There is a specific quality to the darkness here, a texture like rough, heavy paper stained with charcoal and deep indigo. It is not merely the absence of light. It is a physical presence, a thick and suffocating blanket that dampens sound and absorbs the warmth of the living. The palace gates stand tall, iron sentinels forged in a century-long past, their black bars rising up to meet the lowering sky. They are cold to the touch, colder than the ice that clings to the cobblestones, colder than the air that sits motionless in the lungs. To stand here is to become part of the architecture, a statue of flesh and fabric encased in the slow, creeping frost of a midwinter night. The ground is uneven, a vast expanse of ancient stone pavers that have been worn smooth by the passage of 1,000 boots, 1,000 hooves, and 1,000 years of rain. Now they are hidden beneath a layer of packed snow, a surface that is white and gray and blue all at once, shaded by the faint ambient light of the distant city and the singular, lonely lantern that hangs by the guardhouse. The snow does not crunch, for there is no movement. There is only the static pressure of the boots, heavy leather soles nailed with iron, sinking infinitesimally into the hard-packed drift. The sensation is one of rooting, of becoming fixed to the earth. The cold seeps up through the thick soles, through the woolen socks, seeking the bone of the ankle, the shin, the knee. It is a slow invasion, a patient conqueror that knows it has all night to claim its territory. The uniform is heavy. It is a burden of tradition as much as it is a garment. The greatcoat is gray, a dark, slate gray that merges with the shadows of the alcove. It is made of wool so thick and coarse that it feels like felted armor, stiff with the freezing dampness of the air. The fibers of the coat capture the moisture of the falling snow, holding tiny droplets of water that freeze into microscopic beads of ice, turning the fabric into a glittering, frosted shell. Every thread is a testament to durability, woven tight to repel the wind, yet the wind is persistent. It finds the seams. It finds the microscopic gaps in the weave. It presses the heavy cloth against the chest and the back, a constant, heavy embrace that offers no comfort. On the head, the tall fur cap sits like a crown of lead. It is black, a void against the gray stone of the wall behind. The bare fur is dense, the individual hairs stiffened by the frost, standing erect and brittle. It adds nearly 2 feet to the height, a deliberate exaggeration to make the figure imposing, to make the man more than a man. But inside the cap, there is only the quiet hum of blood in the ears and the pressure of the leather sweatband against the forehead. The chin strap is tight, a distinct line of pressure that runs under the jaw, holding the head rigid, forcing the chin up, forcing the eyes forward. The neck is stiff, encased in a high, stiff collar that chafes against the skin, a constant reminder of posture, of uprightness, of the refusal to slump even as the body yearns for rest. The snow falls. It does not storm, it drifts. It is a slow, hypnotic descent of large, soft flakes that spiral down from the darkness above. In the style of a vintage drawing, they are not sharp crystals but soft smudges of white pastel against the dark textured background. They fall with a silence that is louder than noise. They land on the shoulders of the greatcoat, accumulating in the folds of the fabric. They land on the brim of the cap. They land on the gloved hands that clutch the rifle. Each flake is a tiny weight, negligible on its own, but collectively they are the hourglass of the watch. As the white dust builds upon the gray wool, time passes. The accumulation is the only clock. If one were to look closely, they would see the intricate layering of the ice, the way the fresh snow sits atop the older, harder frost, a geological formation of minutes and hours built upon the sleeve. The hands are encased in mittens of thick white buckskin, stiff and unyielding. They hold the musket, a long, elegant piece of wood and steel that rests vertically against the shoulder. The wood of the stock is dark walnut, polished by generations of oil and handling, but now it is dull with cold. The metal barrel is a line of freezing iron, a conductor of the chill that tries to penetrate the leather of the mittens. The fingers inside are curled in a permanent grip, motionless. They have forgotten the sensation of touch. They know only the shape of the stock. To release the weapon would be impossible. The hand has become the wood has become the hand. They are fused together by the temperature, a single entity of defense. To the right, barely visible in the periphery of the fixed gaze, is the lantern. It hangs from a wrought iron hook driven into the stone of the guardhouse wall. The glass is thick and bubbled, distorting the flame within. The light it casts is weak, a sickly amber glow that struggles to push back the encroaching blue darkness. It illuminates only a small circle of the snow, creating a pool of warm-toned slush that looks like spilled gold on a drawing of charcoal. The flame flickers occasionally, not from the wind, but from the lack of good oil, casting long, dancing shadows that stretch out across the courtyard. These shadows are the only things that move. They lengthen and contract, breathing with the flame, creating the illusion of movement in the corners of the eyes. But the guard does not look. The guard stares straight ahead. The view ahead is a study in monotony. It is a long, paved avenue lined with skeletal trees. The trees are black ink strokes against the sky, their branches bare and jagged, reaching up like fractured bones. They hold their own burdens of snow, thick white lines tracing the top of every limb. There is no wind to shake them free. They stand in perfect stillness, mirroring the guard. Beyond the trees lies the darkness of the park, and beyond that the sleeping city. There are no lights in the windows of the distant houses. The world has extinguished itself for the night, leaving only the sentinel to witness the silence. The air is hazy, a soft blur that softens the edges of the trees and the gates, making the world look like a smudge of colored pencil, lacking definition, lacking sharpness. It is a dreamscape of cold. The breath leaves the lips in a slow, rhythmic cloud. It is the only proof of life. The air is so cold that the moisture in the breath condenses instantly, forming a thick white fog that hangs in front of the face for a moment before dissipating into the gray ether. In the dim light, the breath looks like smoke. It rises, curling around the visor of the cap, coating the eyebrows in a fine layer of rime. The eyebrows have become white arches of frost. The eyelashes, too, are heavy with ice. Every blink is a conscious effort, a momentary darkness as the frozen lashes meet and separate with a faint, sticky sensation. But blinking must be minimized. The gaze must remain unbroken. Under the greatcoat, the layers of clothing are a complex geology of warmth preservation. There is the linen shirt, rough against the skin. There is the waistcoat of heavy flannel. There is the uniform jacket of red wool, unseen beneath the gray outer coat. There are the breeches, tight and restrictive. The body generates heat, a small furnace burning deep within the core, but the heat is trapped, hoarded, fought for. The extremities are sacrificed. The toes in the boots have long since ceased to send signals of discomfort. They are merely blocks of wood at the end of the legs. The nose is numb. The ears, hidden beneath the fur of the cap and the hair, are burning with a cold fire. It is a dull, throbbing ache that has become the background noise of existence. The silence is vast. It is not the silence of an empty room, but the silence of a vast, open space blanketed in insulation. The snow absorbs sound waves, dampening the city, dampening the wind, dampening the very thoughts in the head. Occasionally, a timber in the gatehouse might crack with the frost, a sharp, singular report that echoes like a gunshot before being swallowed by the snow. Or a clump of snow might slide from a branch and land with a soft thump on the ground. These sounds do not startle. They are part of the soundscape of the freeze. They are noted, categorized, and dismissed by the mind that is half asleep, half alert. The guard stands at attention, but it is a relaxed attention, a pose of endurance rather than readiness for immediate action. The weight of the body is distributed evenly between the heels and the balls of the feet. The knees are unlocked barely to prevent fainting, but to the observer, the legs are pillars of stone. The back is straight, the spine a rod of iron. This posture is not maintained by muscle effort anymore. It is maintained by the stiffness of the frozen clothes and the habit of years. The coat stands up on its own. The man is merely inhabiting it inside. If he were to vanish, the coat might remain standing, a hollow shell of ice and wool guarding the empty gate. The light from the lantern catches the polished brass of the buttons on the greatcoat. There are 2 rows of them, tarnished by the moisture but still glinting with a dull, metallic luster. They are tiny moons in the dark universe of the uniform. Each button bears the crest of the regiment, a detail lost in the shadows, a secret heraldry hidden by the night. The brass is cold, burning cold. If one were to touch it with a bare finger, the skin would stick. The metal draws the heat out of the air, out of the fabric, a heat sink on the chest. The wind shifts. It had been coming from the north, a direct assault on the face. Now it swirls, coming from the east, sliding along the stone wall. It carries the scent of wood smoke from a chimney miles away, a faint, ghostly smell of other people's warmth. It is a cruel scent. It reminds the body of the fire that is not here. It reminds the mind of the hearth, of the chair, of the hot tea. But the thought is pushed away. To think of warmth is to invite weakness. To think of the fire is to feel the cold more intensely. The guard focuses instead on the smell of the wet wool, the smell of the lantern oil, the smell of the ozone in the freezing air. These are the sense of reality. The wood smoke is a phantom. A snowflake lands on the bridge of the nose. It does not melt. The skin is too cold. The flake sits there, a tiny, intricate star of ice until the wind dislodges it. Another lands on the cheek, another on the lip. The face is becoming a landscape of winter. The skin is pale, drained of blood, blending with the white of the snow and the gray of the coat. In the vintage sketch of this moment, the face would be rendered in strokes of pale blue and slate, with only the faintest hint of pink around the eyes to suggest life. The eyes themselves are dark, reflecting nothing, seeing everything. They scan the horizon, the tree line, the empty road. They look for movement where there is none. Minutes bleed into one another. There is no way to measure them. Is it an hour until the relief comes? Is it 2? Or has it only been 10 minutes since the bells of the cathedral chimed the quarter hour? The bells are muffled, distant, unreliable. Sometimes the wind carries the sound away entirely and the hour passes unmarked. The guard exists in a liminal state outside of time. There is only the standing. The standing is the job. The standing is the life. The waiting is the only activity. The mind detaches from the linear progression of events and enters a loop of sensory input. Cold, dark, white, gray, silence. The snow accumulates on the ground around the boots, rising slowly. It covers the leather uppers, creeping towards the ankles. The boots are buried. The man is being slowly interred by the weather. He does not shift his feet to shake it off. To move would be to break the seal of warmth that has formed within the boots. To move would be to let the cold air rush into the microscopic pockets of heat between the socks and the leather. So he remains still, letting the snow bury his feet, letting the drift merge him with the earth. He is a tree with roots of leather and bone. The texture of the darkness changes as a cloud passes overhead, slightly thicker, slightly darker than the rest. It blots out the faint luminescence of the hidden moon. The shadows in the courtyard deepen. The lantern light seems to shrink, pressing closer to the wall, fearful of the expanding dark. The blue tones of the scene shift to deep charcoal. The visual world contracts. The visible universe is now only the gate, the patch of snow, and the lantern. Everything else is a void. The solitude is absolute. There is no other guard visible. He is alone at this post. The other sentries are hundreds of yards away, around the perimeter, invisible, silent. They are connected only by the shared experience of the freeze, a brotherhood of shivering statues. Inside the chest, the heart beats slow and steady. Thump, 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 thump. It pumps the thick, sluggish blood through the veins, fighting gravity, fighting the temperature. It is a rhythmic drum in the ears, the internal metronome of the watch. The breath synchronizes with it. Inhale for 4 beats, hold for 2, exhale for 4, hold for 2. It is a meditative cycle, a way to control the shivering. If the breathing becomes rapid, the body will shake. If the body shakes, the energy is lost. So the breath must be controlled. It must be shallow but efficient. The cold air entering the lungs feels like swallowing water. It chills the chest from the inside. The stone wall behind the guard is rough-hewn granite. It creates a windbreak, a small mercy. But the stone sucks the heat from the air. It is a massive thermal sink, a cliff of ice. The back of the coat touches the wall occasionally, and the cold transfers instantly through the layers. The guard leans forward a millimeter, breaking the contact, standing unsupported. The space between the back and the wall is a canyon of shadowed air, a trap for the wind. The wind swirls there, eddying around the kidneys, finding the weak spot in the armor. The visual style of this moment is defined by the softness of the edges. Nothing is sharp. The snow softens the lines of the architecture. The dark softens the lines of the uniform. The cold softens the focus of the eyes. It is a world drawn in pastel on rough paper where the colors bleed into one another. The red of the tunic is not red. It is a dark, muddy purple. The gold of the lantern is not gold. It is a bruised ochre. The white of the snow is not white. It is the color of old parchment, stained by the blue night. The drawing is heavy with pigment, layer upon layer of dark strokes creating the depth of the shadows. A raven calls out from somewhere high in the trees. Caw, caw. The sound is dry, raspy, ancient. It is the voice of the winter. The bird is unseen, a black spirit in the black branches. The sound hangs in the air, echoing slightly against the stone walls of the palace before fading into the damp wool of the silence. The guard does not look up. The eyes remain level. The bird is of no consequence. It is merely another texture in the night, a scratch on the drawing. The weight of the halberd, or perhaps it is a musket, the form is indistinct in the gloom, pulls on the shoulder muscles. The strap digs in. The arm aches with a dull, persistent throb. The muscles have locked into place, holding the weight without active effort, but the strain is there, accumulating like the snow. It is a fatigue that goes deep into the fibers of the meat. The shoulder joint feels fused, as if the ball and socket have rusted together. To move the arm now would require a supreme act of will, a breaking of the frozen seal. The lantern flickers again. The oil is low. The wick is charring. The light pulses, dimming and brightening in a slow rhythm. With each dimming, the shadows leap forward, grasping at the boots. With each brightening, they retreat, hissing into the corners. It is a slow, silent battle between the light and the dark played out on the stage of the snowy courtyard. The guard watches the interplay without interest. It is simply the nature of the night. The light struggles, the dark waits, the cold endures. There is a sensation of the ground rising, an illusion caused by the staring. The snow seems to be lifting up to meet the sky. The perspective flattens. The world becomes two-dimensional, a flat plane of texture and shadow. The depth perception fails. The gate could be 5 feet away or 50. The trees could be cardboard cutouts. The mind struggles to anchor itself in 3 dimensions. Only the physical sensation of the cold provides a reference point. The cold is 3-dimensional. It surrounds. It penetrates. It has depth and weight. It is the most real thing in the universe. The greatcoat has a collar of darker wool, perhaps velvet, now flattened and matted by the damp. It rubs against the stubble on the chin. The friction is raw. The skin is tender from the cold and the rough fabric feels like sandpaper, but the chin remains tucked. To lift it would expose the throat to the wind. The vulnerability of the neck is a primal concern. The scarf, wrapped tight beneath the collar, is a lifeline. It is made of softer wool, knitted by hand, perhaps by a mother or a wife in a warmer place, a warmer time. It holds a faint memory of that warmth, a psychological comfort if not a physical one. It itches, but the itch is a distraction from the numbness. The snow is now an inch deep on the shoulders. The guard is wearing a mantle of white. He has become part of the landscape, indistinguishable from a stone gargoyle or a dormant bush. If a traveler were to pass, they might not see him until they were within arm's reach. They would see only a dark shape, a shadow that stands too still to be a man. They would hear no breath, for the wind covers it. They would see no movement, for there is none. He is the ghost of the gate, the spirit of the duty. And still the snow falls. It falls with a relentless, gentle persistence. It fills the footprints of the relief guard that left hours ago. It smooths over the ruts in the road. It erases the history of the day, leaving a blank white page for the night. The world is being reset. The world is being washed clean by the ice. The guard is the witness to this erasure. He stands in the center of the white void, the only fixed point in a shifting world. The wool gets heavier. The wind gets colder. The night stretches on, a dark ribbon with no end in sight. The toes are gone. They are no longer part of the body. The awareness ends at the arch of the foot. The numbness is creeping up the heel. It is a merciful loss. The pain of the cold has been replaced by the absence of feeling. The danger, of course, is that the absence is permanent, but that is a worry for the morning. That is a worry for the barracks, for the fire, for the hot water. Here in the snow, the numbness is a tool. It allows the standing to continue. If the pain were fresh, the will might break. But the numbness is quiet. The numbness is peaceful. The visual field is filled with the falling specks. Millions of them, each one unique, each one the same. They create a veil, a curtain of lace that hangs between the eyes and the world. The focus shifts from the distance to the flake falling 6 inches from the nose, then back to the gate, then back to the flake. It is a pendulum of vision. Near, far, near, far. The rhythm is soothing. It induces a trance. The conscious mind begins to shut down, leaving only the lizard brain, the part of the mind that keeps the body upright, the part that watches for the wolf, the part that fears the dark. The architecture of the palace behind is heavy, baroque, imposing. It is a pile of stone meant to intimidate, but tonight it looks vulnerable. The snow caps the statues of the heroes and the kings. It fills the mouths of the stone lions. It sits on the ledges of the high windows like white dust sheets in an abandoned house. The power of the state is nothing compared to the power of the winter. The winter conquers all. The winter occupies the palace without firing a shot. The guard is the only resistance, a singular red and gray point of defiance against the white occupation. A small tremor runs through the thigh muscle, a shiver. It starts in the quadriceps and ripples up the spine. The teeth want to chatter, the jaw clamps down harder, the hands squeeze the rifle stock, the body fights to generate heat. The shiver passes, leaving behind a wave of exhaustion. The energy reserves are draining. The battery is low. The metabolic fire is burning the last of the kindling. The darkness seems to press closer, sensing the weakness. The wind gusts, a sudden slap of air that feels solid, like a wet towel hitting the face. The eyes blink, clearing the ice for a fraction of a second, reasserting the watch. The lantern swings in the gust. The shadows dance violently, stretching out like long black fingers reaching for the guard, then snapping back. The metal hook creaks, squeak, squeak, a rhythm of rust and iron. The sound is sharp, cutting through the muffled silence. It is the only mechanical noise in a world of organic soft sounds. It sounds lonely. It sounds like a hinge on a door that opens to nowhere. The fabric of the trousers is stiff, frozen into the shape of the leg. It does not wrinkle when the weight shifts, it merely pivots. The sensation is of being encased in a cast. The body is a soft thing inside a hard shell. The vulnerability of the flesh is contrasted with the hardness of the uniform. The uniform is the armor against the elements, but it is also the cage. It binds the body to the duty. It prevents retreat. One cannot run in this coat. One can only stand. One can only endure. The deep blue of the night sky begins to feel heavy, as if the color itself has weight. It presses down on the tops of the trees, compressing the atmosphere. The air is dense. Breathing requires effort, as if pulling a thick liquid into the lungs. The oxygen is cold and sharp, stinging the throat. Every breath cools the blood. It is a slow exchange, life for air, heat for oxygen. The ledger is unbalanced. The cold is winning. The guard stares at a single cobblestone that is not yet fully covered. It is a dark gray patch in the sea of white. It has a rough texture, pitted and scarred. He memorizes the pattern of the pits. He maps the surface of the stone with his eyes. It becomes the entire world. It is an island of rock in an ocean of ice. He watches as the snowflakes land on it one by one. He counts them. 1, 2, 3. They melt at first, then they stick. The island is shrinking. The ocean is rising. Soon the stone will be gone. Soon everything will be white. The stone is gone. The single cobblestone, the last island of gray in the white sea, has been swallowed by the accumulation. Now the ground is a uniform expanse, a seamless carpet of pale dust that glows faintly with the reflected light of the dying lantern. The visual anchor is lost. There is no longer a specific point of focus on the earth, only the vast, blurry texture of the snow. It is a relief in a way. The mind no longer has to track the progress of the burial. The burial is complete. The feet are hidden beneath the drift, two mounds of white that show only the vaguest outline of boots. To the eye, the guard ends at the shins. He rises from the snow like a broken column from a ruin, rooted in the ice, immovable and permanent. The connection to the ground is no longer just physical, it is visual. He is planted. The wind shifts its tone. It drops an octave, moving from a high, thin whistle to a low, mournful drone. It vibrates against the iron bars of the gate, creating a subaudible hum that can be felt in the teeth more than heard in the ears. It is the sound of heavy air moving over cold metal. The air itself feels thicker now, viscous with the dropping temperature. It resists movement. To turn the head would be to push against a solid weight. So the head remains fixed. The gaze remains forward. The neck muscles have set into a rigid calmness, holding the heavy bare fur cap in perfect alignment with the spine. The weight of the cap is a constant, pressing down on the skull, compressing the thoughts, keeping them small and quiet. Inside the gloves, the fingers are no longer individual entities. They are a single block of sensation, or rather, the lack of it. The thumb, pressed against the stock of the musket, registers only a dull pressure, a ghost of a feeling. The wood of the rifle is no longer cold, it simply is. It has reached thermal equilibrium with the gloves. They are the same temperature. The boundary between the man and the weapon has dissolved. If he were to try to open his hand, the leather might peel away from the skin, or the skin might peel away from the flesh. It is better not to know. It is better to trust the grip that was established hours ago, the grip of muscle memory that holds on even as the nerves go silent. The snowflakes that drift past the eyes are larger now. In the vintage drawing of this night, they are heavy smudges of white chalk pressed hard against the dark gray paper. They fall in slow motion, defying gravity, floating in the suspension of the thick air. One flake drifts close to the lantern. It catches the amber light, turning briefly into a spark of gold, a tiny, falling star, before passing into the shadow below and extinguishing itself against the white ground. The guard watches this single flake. He follows its entire life cycle. The birth in the cloud, the long, silent journey through the dark, the brief moment of glory in the light, and the final rest in the drift. It is a tragedy in miniature. It is the story of the night. The silence of the city beyond the park is absolute. It is a heavy silence, weighted down by the snow. The usual hum of the metropolis, the distant rattle of wheels, the bark of a dog, the shout of a night watchman is gone. The snow has muffled the world. It acts as a vast acoustic dampener, absorbing every vibration. The guard stands in a vacuum of sound. The only noise is the internal noise of the body, the rush of blood in the ears, the slow creak of a tendon, the soft, wet sound of the breath entering the scarf. This internal soundscape becomes deafening. The heart sounds like a hammer wrapped in wool. Thud, thud, thud. It is the only clock that remains. The cold finds a way in through the buttonholes of the greatcoat. Despite the layers, despite the wool, there is a hairline fracture in the defense. A tiny stream of freezing air snakes its way past the brass button, through the overlap of the fabric, and touches the flannel of the waistcoat. It is a needle of ice. It creates a localized spot of pain on the chest, a small, burning circle. The guard visualizes this spot. He concentrates on it. He imagines the heat of his body fighting back, a tiny war of temperature fought on the battlefield of a single square inch of skin. It is a distraction. It keeps the mind from drifting into the dangerous sleep. As long as there is the sting of the cold, there is life. The shadows cast by the lantern are not static. They breathe. As the flame gutters in the drafty housing, the shadows on the snow expand and contract. They look like dark water lapping at the shore of the light. They are soft-edged charcoal rubbings that smear across the white texture. Sometimes, in the periphery of the vision, the shadows seem to take shapes. A wolf, a crouching man, a hand reaching out. But when the eyes shift to look directly, there is nothing but the gray shade of the gate post or the silhouette of the tree. The mind plays tricks in the monotony. It seeks patterns in the random noise of the dark. The guard knows this. He ignores the phantoms. He trusts only the stillness. The uniform trousers are tight against the thighs. The wool has become damp from the humidity in the air and then frozen stiff. It feels like wearing tubes of cardboard. When the weight shifts imperceptibly from left foot to right, the fabric does not bend. It pivots. The friction of the frozen wool against the skin is a dry, rasping sensation. The hair on the legs stands up, trapped beneath the cloth, a layer of insulation that fails against the power of the freeze. The cold has penetrated the large muscles of the legs. They feel heavy, dense, like lead weights. To lift a foot now would require a hydraulic effort. The legs are merely the plinth upon which the torso rests. Above the sky is a solid lid of clouds. There are no stars. The moon is a diffused memory of light, a lighter shade of gray buried deep within the strata of the storm. The ceiling of the world is low. It feels as if one could reach up with the bayonet and scratch the clouds. This low ceiling traps the darkness, concentrating it. The color palette is restricted to the deepest blues, the slate grays, and the blinding white of the snow. There are no warm tones left in the universe, save for the dying flame of the lantern. And even that flame is looking pale, starving for oxygen, starving for oil. It is a sickly yellow, not a warming orange. It offers no heat, only position. The nose is the most exposed part of the face. The scarf covers the chin and the mouth. The cap covers the forehead and ears. But the nose stands out, a prow into the wind. It has gone past the stage of stinging. It is now a hard, foreign object attached to the face. The nostrils flare slightly with each intake of air, but the movement feels stiff, like parchment crinkling. Inside the nose, the tiny hairs are coated in frost. Each breath in freezes them instantly. Each breath out thaws them for a microsecond. This cycle of freeze and thaw is the only activity on the face. A droplet of clear fluid hangs from the tip of the nose. It does not fall. It freezes there, a tiny jewel of ice, adding its microscopic weight to the burden of the head. The eyes begin to water from the constant stare and the biting cold. The tears do not run down the cheeks. They pool in the corners of the eyes, turning cold, blurring the vision. The world swims. The gate bars double and triple. The lantern becomes a smear of light. The guard blinks, a slow, deliberate closure of the lids, squeeze. The warm moisture clears the ice from the lashes. Open. The world snaps back into focus, sharp and cold. The relief is temporary. The tears will return. The cold will return. The cycle continues. The texture of the stone wall of the guardhouse, visible to the right, is magnified by the boredom. Every pit in the granite, every streak of lichen, every chink in the mortar becomes a landscape of its own. The lichen is black and brittle, clinging to the rock like a desperate hand. The stone itself sparkles faintly with a coating of rime. It looks abrasive, hostile. If one were to lean a cheek against it, the skin would shred. It is a wall of frozen sandpaper. It offers shelter from the wind, but it radiates a deep, geological cold, the cold of the Earth's crust. It sucks the heat from the air around it. The guard stands in its shadow, in its thermal void. The breath cloud is thicker now. The temperature has dropped another degree. The exhalation is a dense, opaque fog that obscures the vision for a full second with every breath. It is like a private weather system. The guard breathes out a cloud, steps into it figuratively, for he does not move, and then breathes again. He is hiding behind his own breath. The moisture from the breath settles on the wool of the scarf, turning the fibers into a lattice of ice. The scarf becomes a hard shell, a mask of frozen wool. It scratches the chin. It holds the smell of wet animal hair. It is a suffocating comfort. Time is not linear here. It is circular. The same thoughts orbit the mind, the cold, the toes, the wind, the light, the cold, the toes. There is no progression. There is no narrative. There is only the state of being. The guard tries to estimate the time. He counts the beats of his heart. 1, 2, 3. He reaches 100. He reaches 1,000. But then the mind wanders, drifting away into a semi-conscious fog, and the count is lost. Was it 1,000? Was it 2,000? It doesn't matter. The bells will ring when they ring. The relief will come when it comes. Until then, there is only the count that has no number. The weight of the coat pulls on the shoulders. The heavy wool, wet with snow, drags the body down. The spine compresses. The vertebrae grind together gently. The posture remains upright, but it is a fight against gravity. Gravity is heavier in the cold. The earth pulls harder. The body wants to lie down. It wants to curl up in the snow, to make a nest of the white dust, to close the eyes and sleep. The sleep would be warm. The sleep would be final. The guard recognizes this desire. It is the siren song of hypothermia. He pushes it away. He locks his knees. He straightens his back. He lifts his chin. He defies the gravity. A draft of wind swirls the snow on the ground, creating a miniature whirlwind, a dust devil of ice. It spins across the courtyard, a ghostly dancer in the lantern light. It moves with a chaotic grace, twisting and turning before collapsing back into the drift. It is the only thing that moves with freedom. The guard watches it with a detached envy. To move like that, to spin, to fly, but he is a stone. He is a wall. He is a fixture. He cannot spin. He can only stand. The color of the night shifts as the clouds thicken. It becomes a darker, more suffocating gray. The horizon disappears completely. The distinction between sky and earth is erased. There is only the gray void above and the white void below. The guard is suspended in a capsule of nothingness. The sensory deprivation is nearly complete. The eyes see, but there is nothing to see. The ears hear, but there is nothing to hear. The nerves feel, but they feel only the absence of heat. The mind begins to construct its own reality. It replays memories, the taste of hot soup, the smell of tobacco, the texture of a warm blanket. These memories are vivid hallucinations of the senses. They are dangerous. They make the present reality harder to bear. The guard pushes them down. Focus on the gate. Focus on the snow. The musket barrel is covered in a fine layer of white powder. The metal is no longer visible. It looks like a stick of chalk. The lock mechanism, the hammer, the pan, all are softened by the snow. It is doubtful the weapon would fire if needed. The powder in the pan is likely damp. The flint is likely cold and brittle. But the weapon is not for firing. It is a symbol. It is a badge of office. It is a stick to hold onto. The guard clutches it tighter. It is his partner. It is the only thing he holds. The sensations in the feet change. The numbness is no longer a void. It is a heavy, throbbing pressure. It feels as if the feet have swollen to twice their size, filling the boots, bursting the leather. But this is an illusion of the nerves. The feet are shrinking, shriveling in the cold. The blood has retreated. The pressure is the phantom signal of dying nerves. The guard wiggles a toe, or he thinks he does. He sends the command down the long, frozen telegraph wire of the leg. Move. There is no response. No sensation of movement. No feedback. The toe might have moved, or it might be stone. There is no way to know. The visual style of the scene is dark and grainy. The paper of the night is rough, absorbing the light. The lines are not drawn with a fine point, but with the side of the charcoal stick, broad and sweeping. The shadows are deep pools of ink. The light is a smudge of yellow pastel. The guard is a silhouette, a cutout of black against the gray. There is no detail in his face, only the suggestion of features hidden by the scarf and the cap. He is anonymous. He is every guard who has ever stood in the snow. He is an archetype of endurance. A clump of snow slides from the roof of the guardhouse. It falls with a soft whump into the drift below. The sound is muffled, dull, lacking resonance. It is the sound of a heavy body hitting a mattress. The guard does not flinch. His eyes flick to the side, registering the movement, assessing the threat. It is only snow, gravity and ice. No threat. The eyes return to the front. The heart rate does not change. The adrenaline does not flow. There is no energy to waste on being startled. The cold air has a taste. It tastes of iron and ozone. It tastes of the deep upper atmosphere brought down to earth. It is a clean, sterile taste. It coats the tongue and the roof of the mouth. Swallowing is difficult. The throat is dry and stiff. The saliva has thickened. The guard swallows, a painful click in the throat. He longs for water. Not cold water, but hot water, tea, broth, anything with heat. The thirst is as bad as the cold. The cold dries the body out, sublimating the moisture from the skin and the lungs. He is slowly desiccating in the freeze. The lantern creates a small halo in the mist. The moisture in the air refracts the light, creating a rainbow ring around the flame. Blue, faint green, muddy red. It is a spectral eye watching him. The halo pulses with the flicker of the flame. It expands and contracts, a breathing ring of color in the monochrome world. It is beautiful in a sickly way. It is the only color that exists. The guard fixes his gaze on the halo. He meditates on the ring. It keeps his eyes from closing. It pulls him forward. The wool of the greatcoat smells of wet sheep. It is a primitive, organic smell. As the moisture permeates the fabric, the smell becomes stronger. It is the smell of the barn, of the flock. It is a reminder that the coat was once a living thing, keeping a beast warm on a hillside. Now it tries to keep a man warm on a pavement. The man is less suited to the cold than the beast. The man has no fur of his own. He steals the skin of the bear and the hair of the sheep to survive. He is a thief of warmth. The silence stretches. It has a texture now. It feels like velvet, heavy and soft. It presses against the ears. It is not empty, it is full. It is full of the absence of noise. It is a pressure. The guard feels he must push back against the silence to keep from being crushed. He hums a note inside his head, a low, single tone. He does not make a sound with his throat, but he hears the note in his mind. It is a lifeline, a spark of internal noise to prove he is still there. Hum. It vibrates in the skull. It pushes back the velvet. The snow is rising up the shins. It has covered the ankles completely. The definition of the boots is gone. The snow is level with the hem of the greatcoat. It begins to touch the fabric. The wool wicks the moisture up. The hem becomes heavy, frozen, a ring of ice around the legs. It swings slightly with the wind, tapping against the shins. Tap, tap, tap. A frozen bell tolling against the bone. The cold bridges the gap between the snow and the coat. The circuit is complete. The earth is claiming the uniform. There is a sense of immense distance from the self. The guard looks at his hand on the rifle and wonders whose hand it is. It looks like a glove stuffed with straw. It does not look like a part of him. He is a consciousness floating somewhere behind the eyes, observing the body of a soldier standing in the snow. This separation is necessary. If he were fully in the body, the pain would be unbearable. So he retreats. He occupies the attic of the mind, looking out the windows of the eyes, watching the storm from a safe distance. The body is the house. The house is freezing. The tenant is hiding in the smallest room. The wind gusts again, stronger this time. It catches the skirt of the greatcoat, flapping it heavily. The sound is like a sail luffing. Whap, whap. The coat strikes the legs. The impact is dull. The wind tries to get under the coat to find the warm air trapped there. The guard clamps his elbows to his sides. He tightens the perimeter. He defends the core. The wind is the enemy. It is a physical antagonist seeking to steal the life. The guard braces. He leans infinitesimally into the wind. He holds the line. The shadows of the tree branches on the snow look like cracks in the earth. Dark fissures opening up to swallow the watcher. They are jagged, sharp, contrasting with the soft white. They look like lightning bolts frozen in black ice. As the lantern sways, the cracks seem to widen. The ground seems to be breaking apart. It is a visual hallucination, a trick of the chiaroscuro lighting, but it feels real. The guard adjusts his balance, ensuring he is on solid ground, ensuring the earth hasn't opened up beneath him. It is just the shadow, it is just the light, it is just the mind. A feeling of heaviness settles in the gut. It is the heaviness of the night. The digestion has stopped. The body has shut down all non-essential systems. There is only the heart and the lungs and the heat. Everything else is dormant. The stomach is a cold knot. The muscles are cold cables. The bones are cold rods. The biological machine is running on emergency power. The lights are dimming. The machinery is slowing. The output is dropping. The snowflake count continues, or rather, the observation of them. They are the ticking of the seconds. Each flake is a second. 1,000,000 flakes, 1,000,000 seconds. The pile of seconds grows around the boots. The guard is standing in a pile of time. He is wading through the past. The snow on the ground is the time that has already gone. The snow in the air is the future falling to meet him. He stands in the present, the thin line where the falling snow meets the fallen snow. It is a philosophical position. It is a cold position. The lantern oil is surely low. The flame is smaller than it was. The circle of light has shrunk by a foot. The darkness has advanced. The enemy has gained ground. The guard watches the boundary of the light. It is a fuzzy, indistinct line where the gold fades into the gray. He wills the line to hold. He wills the oil to last. To be in the dark would be a different kind of cold, a psychological cold. The light is the only hope. The light is the sun. As long as the lantern burns, the world exists. If the lantern dies, the world ends. The stillness is profound. It is a sculpture of a man, a study in gray and white. The artist has used a heavy hand with the shading. The folds of the coat are deep ravines of black. The shadow under the cap is a void. The boots are merged with the shadow of the legs. The only brightness is the glint of the brass buttons and the white of the snow. The figure is solitary. It evokes a sense of infinite loneliness, a single soul against the crushing weight of the winter, and the winter is heavy. It presses down on the shoulders, it presses down on the eyelids, it presses down on the heart. The guard stands, the snow falls, the night deepens. The darkness has weight. It is not merely the absence of light, but a physical substance that presses against the eyelids and fills the spaces between the falling snowflakes. It is a heavy, velvet curtain that has been drawn across the world, stifling the city, the park, and the palace. The air is thick with it. To breathe is to inhale the night itself. The lungs fill with the cold, dark ether, chilling the blood from the inside out. The guard stands as a vessel for this darkness, a hollow statue of wool and leather that is slowly being filled by the silence of the void. The boundary between the man and the night is dissolving. The gray of the greatcoat is merging with the charcoal of the shadows. The black of the fur cap is merging with the black of the sky. He is becoming a shadow within a shadow, a ghost standing watch over a graveyard of snow. The wind has found a new rhythm. It no longer gusts, it flows. It is a steady, liquid stream of freezing air that pours over the walls and through the iron bars of the gate. It moves like a river of ice, silent and relentless. It flows around the boots, around the legs, around the torso. It seeks the path of least resistance, sliding over the smooth wool, eddying in the folds of the fabric. It carries with it a fine diamond dust of ice crystals, sharp and abrasive. They scour the skin of the face, polishing the nose and the cheeks to a raw, numb shine. The sensation is not of cold, but of erosion. The wind is slowly sanding the man down, wearing away the soft flesh to reveal the stone beneath. The lantern, hanging faithfully on its iron hook, is the only defiance, but it is a weak defiance. The flame is a small, trembling point of orange in a universe of blue and gray. In the vintage drawing of this scene, The light would be applied with a soft, crumbling pastel, a smudge of warmth that barely clings to the rough texture of the paper. It illuminates the drifting snow, turning the flakes into fleeting sparks of gold that ignite for a second and then vanish into the gloom. The light does not reach the feet anymore. The boots are lost in the deep shadow of the drift. The guard looks down, but he cannot see where his body ends and the earth begins. He assumes the connection is still there. He assumes the feet are still inside the boots, but there is no proof. There is only the standing. The texture of the greatcoat is a landscape of its own. Under the microscopic inspection of the board mind, the wool reveals its secrets. It is a coarse, chaotic terrain of fibers, twisted and matted together. Some fibers are thick and gray, others are thin and white. They trap the air. They trap the snow. The moisture has frozen on the surface of the coat, creating a stiff, glittering crust. If one were to run a fingernail across the sleeve, it would make a scratching sound like metal on stone. The coat has become a carapace. It is hard, unyielding, a shell that protects the soft interior but also isolates it. The guard is a hermit crab hiding inside a shell of frozen wool. The silence is broken only by the settling of the snow. Hiss, hiss. It is the sound of millions of tiny collisions as the flakes land on the paved ground, on the accumulated drift on the fabric of the coat. It is a white noise, a static frequency that tunes out all other thoughts. It is the sound of the world being buried. The guard listens to it. He becomes attuned to the variations in the hiss. A slightly louder hiss means a larger flake. A softer hiss means a drier flake. He categorizes the snow by sound. It is a task to occupy the mind. It is a way to keep the brain firing, to prevent the neurons from going dark like the windows of the city. The cold in the knees is a deep, aching throb. The joint fluid has thickened. The cartilage feels brittle. The knees are the hinges of the body, and the hinges are rusting. To bend the leg now would be to risk snapping the mechanism. So the legs remain straight, locked in the vertical position. The weight of the torso rests directly on the skeletal structure. The muscles have done their work. They are exhausted, depleted of glycogen, trembling on the verge of failure. Now the bones take the load. The femur, the tibia, the fibula. They are pillars of calcium supporting the roof of the uniform. The guard trusts his bones. They are older than him. They will last longer than him. The view through the iron gates is a study in vertical lines. The black bars of the gate slice the gray world into narrow strips. Behind the bars, the trees are vertical lines. The falling snow creates vertical lines. The world is a cage of lines. The guard stands on the outside looking in, or on the inside looking out. It is hard to tell. The palace is a prison of duty. The city is a prison of sleep. The gate is the threshold between two silences. The iron of the gate is frosted. Thick white rime clings to the windward side of each bar, growing like a fungus of ice. It makes the bars look thicker, softer. The metal has been clothed in winter. The breath continues its rhythmic cloud production. It is the only manufacturing process occurring in the kingdom tonight. The guard manufactures fog. He exhales a puff of warm, moist air. It expands, cools, condenses, and drifts away. He watches each cloud. They are his children. They are born from his warmth. They live for a second in the cold air, and then they die. He creates them, one after another, a continuous assembly line of breath. Inhale, exhale, cloud, gone. It is a mesmerizing cycle. It connects him to the atmosphere. He is adding his moisture to the storm. He is contributing to the weather. The scarf, wrapped tight around the lower face, has become a solid block of ice where the breath passes through it. The wool fibers are cemented together by the frozen condensation. It forms a hard cup over the mouth and chin. It is uncomfortable. It rubs against the lips. But inside the cup, there is a pocket of humid air. It is a tiny tropical zone in the Arctic wasteland. The air there is slightly warmer than the air outside. The guard guards this pocket of warmth. He keeps his mouth closed, breathing through the nose, occasionally exhaling through the mouth to replenish the heat in the scarf. It is a delicate thermal management operation. A sensation of hunger rises, a hollow ache in the stomach. It is not a sharp hunger, but a dull, lethargic emptiness. The body wants fuel. It wants to burn something to keep the furnace going. But there is no fuel. There is only the reserve. The body begins to consume itself. It eats the fat. It eats the muscle. The guard imagines the process. He imagines the internal fire burning the stores of the body. He is a candle burning down. He is getting lighter, even as the snow makes him heavier. He is becoming less substance, more spirit. The hunger is a reminder of mortality. It is a reminder that the watch cannot last forever, but for now it feels like it will. The shadows on the ground have lengthened. The angle of the lantern seems to have changed, or perhaps the snow drift has altered the topography of the courtyard. The shadows stretch out like long, dark fingers, pointing towards the gate, pointing towards the exit. They are distorted, elongated shapes that bear no resemblance to the objects that cast them. The shadow of the guardhouse looks like a crouching beast. The shadow of the guard looks like a thin, broken needle. The interplay of light and dark is dramatic, high contrast, chiaroscuro. The vintage artist has pressed hard with the black charcoal here, creating a pool of ink at the feet of the watcher. The toes are a memory. The concept of feet is abstract. The guard knows intellectually that he has feet. He remembers putting on the boots, he remembers the socks, but experimentally the legs end at the ankles. The boots are merely part of the ground now. They are the plinth. The connection to the earth is absolute. He is rooted. If he were to try to walk, he imagines he would have to tear his feet from the stone, leaving them behind. This thought is not frightening. It is simply a fact of the night. The night takes things. It has taken the feet. It will give them back in the morning, perhaps, or perhaps not. The visual field is grainy. The low light and the fatigue introduce a noise to the vision. The darkness swarms with tiny, phantom dots, millions of vibrating pixels of gray and black. It is the static of the retina struggling to find a signal. The guard stares into this static. He sees shapes that are not there. He sees movement that is not there, a flicker in the trees, a shadow moving on the wall. He does not react. He knows the tricks of the tired eye. He waits for the movement to repeat. It never does. It is just the noise of the brain. The brain is bored. It invents drama. The guard denies the drama. He enforces the boredom. The snow accumulation has reached the calves. It is rising steadily. It is a slow-motion flood of white. The guard is a measuring stick. The snow creeps up the leather of the boots, up the wool of the trousers. It is heavy. It presses against the legs, a cold, damp weight. It restricts the blood flow even further. It is a tourniquet of ice. The guard feels the pressure. It is a comforting pressure in a way. It holds him upright. If he were to faint, the snow might hold him up. He is packed in. He is cargo. The wind carries a sound, a faint, distant rattle. It is the sound of a window pane vibrating in a frame miles away. Or perhaps it is a loose slate on the roof of the palace. It is a lonely sound, tack, tack, tack. It speaks of the fragility of human structures. The wind is testing the city. It is searching for weaknesses. It shakes the windows. It rattles the doors. It whispers down the chimneys. The guard hears the rattle and feels a kinship with the window. They are both standing against the wind. They are both holding the line. They are both cold. The texture of the stone wall near the lantern is illuminated by the dying light. It is rough, pitted granite. The light catches the ridges and creates tiny mountain ranges of shadow on the face of the rock. The guard studies this geography. He maps the continents of lichen and the oceans of smooth stone. He sees a crack that looks like a river. He sees a bump that looks like a fortress. He travels across the surface of the stone with his eyes. It is a journey without movement. It is a mental escape. He is an explorer of the guardhouse wall. The silence of the park beyond the gate is deep and heavy. The trees stand in mute testimony to the winter. They do not sway, they are frozen rigid. The sap inside them has stopped moving. They are dormant. The guard feels a jealousy of the trees. They are allowed to sleep. They are allowed to shut down completely. He must remain awake. He must remain conscious. He is the only thing in the park that is required to be aware. The burden of consciousness is heavy. To think is to suffer. To not think is to freeze. He walks the line between the two. The smell of the lamp oil is acrid. It is a cheap, refined oil that burns with a sooty smoke. The smell hangs in the damp air, unable to rise. It mixes with the smell of the ozone and the wet wool. It is the scent of the watch. It is a smell that will forever trigger the memory of the cold. Years from now, if the guard smells a dying lamp, he will feel the phantom ice on his toes. He will hear the hiss of the snow. The sense of smell is a time machine. But right now, it is just a pungent reminder of the dwindling fuel. The oil is the hourglass. When the smell stops, the light stops. A single snowflake lands on the eyelash of the left eye. It hangs there, blurring the vision in that eye. It is a large, complex crystal. The guard can see the structure of it magnified by the proximity. It is a perfect geometric star. It is beautiful. It is cold. It melts slowly, the heat of the eye turning the ice into water. The water blurs the vision further, a tear of melted snow. The guard blinks, clearing the lens. The star is gone. The moment is gone. The watch continues. The weight of the bearskin cap pushes the head down. The neck muscles scream in protest. The trapezius muscles are knots of tension. The pain is a dull, burning line across the shoulders. The guard tries to relax the shoulders to let them drop, but the coat is too heavy. The coat holds the shoulders up. The body is trapped in a shrug of exhaustion. The head feels like it is balancing on a pin. The balance requires constant micro-adjustments. Left a bit, right a bit, forward. The inner ear works overtime to keep the horizon level. The deep blue of the sky is fading to a monochromatic black. The clouds have thickened to the point where no ambient light from the moon can penetrate. The world is lit only by the lantern and the faint reflection of the snow itself. The snow seems to generate its own light, a ghostly phosphorescence. It is the brightest thing in the universe. The sky is a void. The ground is a cloud. The guard stands between the two, a dark connector. He is the lightning rod that grounds the darkness to the earth. The cold finds the wrists. The gap between the glove and the sleeve is a vulnerability. The leather of the gauntlet flares out, catching the wind. The air swirls inside the cuff, chilling the radial artery. The blood flowing to the hands is cooled before it arrives. The hands are doomed. The guard tries to pull the sleeves down to cover the gap, but the wool is stiff. The movement is microscopic. It changes nothing. The wrists remain exposed. The pulse beats against the cold air. Thump, thump, thump. Life against winter. The guard's mind drifts to the concept of warmth. It is an abstract concept now. He tries to remember what it feels like to be warm. He remembers the sun on his face in July. He remembers the heat of a bakery oven. He remembers the steam rising from a horse's flank. These memories are vivid but distant. They feel like stories he read in a book, not things he experienced. The reality of the cold is so overwhelming that it rewrites the past. Has he ever been warm? Or has he always been standing here? The cold feels eternal. It feels like the natural state of the universe. Heat is an aberration. Heat is a lie. The stillness of the figure is unnatural. A living thing should move. It should shift weight, scratch an itch, wipe a nose, but the guard does not. He has suppressed the animal instincts. He has overridden the biological programming. He has become a machine of duty. The discipline is a straitjacket. It holds him still even when every nerve screams for movement. This stillness is his pride. It is the only thing he has left. He cannot fight the wind. He cannot stop the snow, but he can stand still. He can refuse to yield. He can be a stone. The snow on the ground is not flat. It is textured by the wind. Tiny ripples like sand dunes in a white desert form around the obstacles. There is a dune building up against the guard's right boot. It curves gracefully, a perfect aerodynamic shape sculpted by the air. It is a beautiful piece of temporary architecture. The guard admires the curve. He appreciates the craftsmanship of the wind. The wind is an artist. The guard is the canvas. The lantern flame dips low, almost extinguishing. The shadows leap forward, swallowing the boots, swallowing the knees. The world goes dark for a heartbeat. Then the flame catches a pocket of better oil and flares up again. The shadows retreat. The world returns. The guard's heart skips a beat with the light. Not yet, he thinks. Not yet. He is afraid of the dark, not of the monsters, but of the isolation. The light is his companion. The light is the other guard. To be alone in the dark would be too much. The fatigue is a heavy blanket wrapped around the brain. It muffles the thoughts. It slows the processing speed. Simple concepts take seconds to form. Snow is white. Wind is cold. The complex higher functions are shutting down. The philosophy is gone. The poetry is gone. There is only the sensory input and the basic identification of objects. This is the sleep of the century. The eyes are open, but the mind is dreaming. It dreams of white. It dreams of gray. It dreams of silence. The texture of the drawing becomes rougher. The strokes of the colored pencil are visible now. The artist is tired. The lines are heavy, emphatic. The cross-hatching in the shadows is dense, a chaotic web of black lines. The white of the snow is the raw paper showing through. The scene is decomposing into its artistic elements. The illusion of reality is fraying. The guard feels this fraying. He feels like a sketch that is being erased. The wind is the eraser. The snow is the whiteout. He is fading. The vibration of the cold in the teeth is constant. The jaw is clenched so tight that the muscles ache. The teeth want to chatter, to dance against each other, to generate friction. The guard denies them. He clamps the jaw shut. The tension radiates up into the temples, causing a dull headache. It is a headache of cold and tension. It feels like a band of iron tightened around the skull. The hat presses down on the band. The pain is part of the uniform. The pain is the proof of duty. The sounds of the city are completely gone now. Even the distant bells are silenced by the deepening drift. The isolation is total. The guard is the last man on earth. He is standing at the edge of the world, looking out into the nothingness. There is no relief coming. There is no captain. There is no king. There is only the snow. The idea of the relief guard feels like a myth, a story told to recruits to give them hope. But hope is a warm thing. Hope does not belong here. Here, there is only endurance. The accumulation on the shoulders has bridged the gap to the collar. The neck is now ringed with snow. It touches the skin above the scarf. It melts and runs down the neck, a tiny rivulet of ice water that traces the spine. It causes a violent shiver that shakes the entire frame. The musket rattles against the shoulder. The knees knock together once. The shiver is a rebellion of the body. The guard clamps down. He reasserts control. He stops the shaking. But the water is there, cold and wet against the skin of the back. It is a breach. The enemy is inside the walls. The visual focus narrows to the single, wrought-iron spiral on the gate. It is a decorative element, a flourish of the blacksmith's art, a curve of metal ending in a point. The snow sits on the curve, highlighting the shape. It looks like a white snail shell. The guard stares at the spiral. He follows the line of the curve inwards towards the center, round and round. It is a hypnotic spiral. It pulls the mind in. It spins the thoughts. The spiral is the center of the universe. If he stares long enough, maybe he will disappear into the spiral. Maybe he will become the iron. The darkness pulses. It is not static. It breathes in and out with the wind. The edges of the vision darken and lighten in a slow rhythm. It is the rhythm of the blood failing to reach the eyes. Tunnel vision. The world is closing in. The circle of visibility is shrinking. Soon it will be just the lantern, then just the flame, then nothing. The guard fights the tunnel. He widens his eyes. He forces the peripheral vision to work. See the trees, see the wall, see the snow. He pushes the darkness back with his will. The air is getting colder. It is a hard, crystalline cold that snaps and crackles. The temperature is dropping past the point of endurance. The moisture in the nose freezes instantly. The breath freezes inside the scarf. The eyelashes freeze together. The world is locking up. The mechanism of the night is seizing. The guard is a cog in a frozen machine. He cannot turn. He cannot move. He can only hold his place. He can only wait for the thaw, but the thaw is months away. The thaw is a lifetime away. The stillness has become a geological layer. It is no longer a temporary state of lack of movement. It is a permanent strata of existence, compressed by the weight of the night and the weight of the snow. The guard is a fossil in the making, encased in the sediment of the winter. The accumulation around the boots has risen past the ankles, past the shins, and now gently embraces the curve of the calves. The snow does not feel soft. It feels like wet concrete that is slowly setting. It packs tight against the wool of the trousers, creating a mold of the legs. If the guard were to step out of the snow now, an impossibility, a dream, he would leave behind two perfect negative spaces, hollow shafts leading down to the cobblestones. But he does not step out. He remains poured into the mold. The connection between the man and the drift is sealed. The lantern light is struggling against the thickening atmosphere. The flame has retreated into the wick, a small, desperate bead of fire that consumes the last dregs of the oil. It casts a light that is no longer yellow or gold, but a deep, bruised orange, the color of a dying ember. This light does not push back the dark. It merely stains it. It colors the falling snow with a faint, rusty hue, making the flakes look like falling ash. In the vintage drawing of this moment, the artist has used a heavy hand with the burnt sienna pastel, smudging it into the deep indigo of the background to create a suffocating, muddy gloom. The visibility has reduced to a radius of perhaps 4 feet. Beyond that circle, the world ceases to exist. There is no palace, no park, no city. There is only the void. The wind has lost its sharp, cutting edge and replaced it with a heavy, bludgeoning force. It does not slice, it pushes. It leans against the chest of the greatcoat with the weight of a heavy door. It presses the guard back against the stone wall, pinning him there. The wall is waiting. The wall is cold. The stone absorbs the pressure, and in return it gives its chill. The cold from the granite seeps through the back of the coat, through the lining, through the jacket, through the shirt. It finds the spine. It kisses the vertebrae one by one, counting them with fingers of ice. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar. The spine becomes a rod of frozen mercury. It is the central pillar of the cold. The sound of the wind is a low, continuous moan. It is the sound of air being forced through a narrow aperture. It whistles mournfully through the gap between the gate and the stone pillar. Woo, woo. It is a ghost playing a flute of ice. The sound is hypnotic. It creates a standing wave in the ears, a drone that masks the beating of the heart. The guard listens to the drone. He tries to find a melody in it, a pattern, but there is none. It is the chaotic, random music of the atmosphere. It is the song of the pressure gradient. It is the song of the void. The sensation in the hands is changing. The numbness has moved past the fingers and into the palms. The hands feel like blocks of wood wrapped in leather. The grip on the musket is no longer a conscious muscular effort. It is a rigor stiffness. The fingers have locked into the shape of the stock. They are claws of frozen meat. The guard wonders idly if he could let go if he wanted to. He imagines sending the command to open the hand. He imagines the fingers creaking open, the leather cracking, the ice shattering. But he does not try. The musket is the third leg. It is the prop that keeps the tripod stable. To let go would be to fall. The view through the tunnel of the scarf is restricted. The wool has stiffened into a pipe. The guard looks out at the world through this woolen periscope. The periphery is fuzzy with the fibers of the fabric. The world is framed in gray wool. Inside the scarf, the air is humid and stale. It tastes of wet sheep and recycled breath. It is a microcosm of warmth, a tiny, personal climate that is failing. The cold air from outside mixes with the warm air inside, creating a constant swirl of condensation. The moisture settles on the lips, on the chin, on the mustache. It freezes into a mask of ice. The guard wears a second face over his own, a face made of rime. The snowflakes are no longer individual entities to be counted. They are a mass, a swarm. They fill the air like white static. They are the noise of the visual field. They vibrate with the wind. They collide and merge. They stick to the eyelashes, creating heavy awnings of ice that pull the eyelids down. The struggle to keep the eyes open is a physical battle. The eyelids feel weighted with lead. The muscles of the forehead strain to lift them. Open, open, stay. The eyes are the only part of the guard that is still fighting. The rest of the body has surrendered. The legs have surrendered to the snow. The hands have surrendered to the rifle. Only the eyes remain at their post. The texture of the darkness is granular. It looks like the grain of a very old photograph or the surface of a rough stone. The darkness is not empty space. It is filled with matter. It is filled with the cold. The cold is a substance. It is a heavy gas that displaces the air. The guard feels he is drowning in it. He is a deep-sea diver at the bottom of an ocean of ice. The pressure is immense. It presses in on the eardrums. It presses in on the chest. It presses in on the thoughts. The thoughts become small and dense, compressed by the weight of the night. The mind drifts to the concept of the relief guard, the man who will come to take this place. Does he exist? Is there a warm barracks somewhere where men are sitting by a fire, drinking tea, waiting for the hour? It seems impossible. The existence of warmth seems like a fairy tale. The only reality is this reality, the standing, the snow, the dark. Perhaps the relief guard is also standing in the snow somewhere else, frozen in a different block of time. Perhaps there are only guards standing forever, separated by miles of ice, waiting for a relief that never comes. The thought is not panic-inducing. It is simply a logical conclusion of the environment. The environment demands endurance, not hope. The buttons on the coat are now completely obscured by frost. They are no longer brass moons, they are white discs. The heraldry is erased. The regiment is erased. The guard is no longer a soldier of the king. He is a soldier of the winter. His uniform has been claimed by the storm. It has been redecorated in white. The frost on the buttons connects with the frost on the fabric, creating a continuous surface of ice. The coat is a suit of armor made of frozen water. It is brittle. If struck, it might shatter. The breathing pattern has shallowed. Deep breaths are too costly. They bring too much cold into the core, so the body has adjusted. It takes sips of air. Shallow, quick sips that fill only the upper lungs. The chest barely moves. The rise and fall of the sternum is imperceptible under the heavy coat. The guard is in a state of hibernation while standing. The metabolic rate has dropped. The fire is banked. The coals are glowing, not flaming. This is the efficiency of survival. The body knows what to do. The mind just has to let it happen. The mind has to stop asking for more. A small animal, perhaps a mouse or a vole, tunnels beneath the snow near the boot. The guard cannot see it, but he feels a faint vibration in the sole of the foot. A tiny, scurrying life moving in the subnivean zone, the world beneath the snow. It is a spark of life in the dead world. The guard feels a strange kinship with the invisible creature. They are both hiding from the wind. One is buried in the snow, the other is buried in the coat. They are neighbors in the drift. The vibration stops. The creature has moved on, or it has stopped to rest. The silence returns, heavier than before. The tree branch nearest the lantern finally yields to the weight of the snow. CR crack. The sound is sharp, like a pistol shot. The branch shears off and falls. It lands with a heavy, muffled thump in the drift 5 feet away. A cloud of white powder rises from the impact, swirling in the lantern light. The guard does not flinch. His eyes track the falling branch, recording the event, a casualty of the night. The tree has lost a limb. The guard has lost his feet. The storm takes its tithe from everything. The broken branch lies on the surface of the snow, a black, twisted shape against the white. It looks like a runic letter, a message written in wood. The guard tries to read it. It says nothing. It says broken. The visual style of the scene shifts as the light dims further. The contrast decreases. The blacks become dark grays. The whites become dirty grays. The world is flattening out. The depth perception is gone entirely. The gate looks like it is painted on the retina. The snow looks like a wall of static. The guard feels he is becoming two-dimensional. He is a drawing on a page. He is no longer a three-dimensional being. This feeling brings a sense of detachment. A drawing cannot feel cold. A drawing cannot feel pain. He tries to become the drawing. The cold in the ears is a sharp, biting pain even under the fur of the cap. The tips of the ears are burning. It is the paradoxical burning of the frost. The blood is trying to force its way into the capillaries, but the capillaries are constricted. The pressure builds, it throbs, pulse, pulse, pulse. The sound of the pulse in the ears is loud. It sounds like footsteps in snow. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The guard listens to the footsteps. Is someone coming? No, it is just the blood. It is just the heart marching on. The memory of the last hour is gone. It has been erased by the monotony. Did he move? Did he blink? Did he think? There is no record. The tape has been wiped. There is only the current moment, the now. The now is cold. The now is dark. The past is a warm dream that is fading. The future is a cold void that is approaching. The guard exists in the liminal space between the two. He is the natal on the gauge. The gauge reads empty. The heavy wool of the greatcoat has absorbed moisture from the air and the melting snow on the shoulders. It is heavier now than it was an hour ago. 5 pounds heavier, 10 pounds. It hangs on the frame like a wet rug. The shoulders ache with the drag. The trapezius muscles are burning stones. The guard tries to shift the weight to roll the shoulders, but the coat does not allow it. The coat dictates the posture. The coat demands stillness. To fight the coat is to waste energy, so he accepts the weight. He becomes the coat rack. The shadows of the iron bars on the snow are no longer distinct lines. They are broad, fuzzy bands of darkness. The light source is too diffuse. The shadows merge with the darkness of the trees. The prison bars are expanding. The whole world is becoming a bar of shadow. The guard feels the darkness touching his boots. It is creeping up the snow. It is trying to join with the shadow of his own body. When the shadows touch, the circuit will be closed. The dark will be complete. The smell of the snow is distinct. It smells of nothing, yet it has a scent. It is the scent of clean, frozen water. It is a metallic, alkaline scent. It clears the sinuses, what little air can pass through them. It is the smell of purity. The city smells of coal and rot and humanity. The storm smells of the sky. The guard inhales the sky. It is a cold communion. He is being purified by the freeze. He is being scrubbed clean of the city. The sensation of the toes has returned, but not as feeling. It has returned as a phantom itch. A deep, maddening itch inside the bone of the big toe. It is impossible to scratch. It is impossible to reach. It is a neurological error. The nerves are misfiring as they die. The guard wiggles the toe inside the boot. Nothing happens. The itch remains. It is a torture of the mind. He focuses on the itch. He hates the itch. The hate is good. The hate is heat. He uses the hate to warm the blood. A gust of wind catches the lantern. The housing rattles violently. The flame flickers and almost dies. For a second there is total darkness. The guard's heart stops. The world vanishes. Then the flame catches again. A tiny blue-based flame that grows into a weak orange. The world returns, but it is different. It is darker. The shadows have rearranged themselves. The monsters have moved closer. The guard stares at the flame. Stay, he commands, stay. The flame is the soul of the post. If it goes, the post is lost. The texture of the stone pavers buried deep beneath the snow is a memory. The guard tries to remember the feeling of the uneven stones under his soles, the way the heel would catch on a ridge, the way the ball of the foot would settle into a hollow. That tactile connection is severed. He is floating on a cloud of compressed ice. The ground is a theory. He trusts it is there, but he cannot feel it. He is levitating in the white void. The breath condenses on the eyebrows, adding another layer to the arches of frost. The ice is heavy. It pulls the skin of the forehead down. It creates a frown that is not emotional but structural. The guard is frowning at the winter. His face is locked in a mask of disapproval. The ice bonds the hairs together. The eyebrows are now solid ridges of white. If he were to raise them, they would crack. So he keeps his face still, expressionless, frozen. The silence is interrupted by the sound of the guard's own joints. A knee clicks, a shoulder pops. These are the sounds of the house settling. The structure is under stress. The cold is contracting the materials. The ligaments tighten. The tendons shorten. The body is shrinking. The guard feels himself getting smaller inside the coat. The coat is a cavern. He is a small animal lost in the vastness of the uniform. The sky is a heavy, matte lid. There is no depth to it anymore. It is just a surface painted black. It sits just above the treetops. It suppresses the smoke from the chimneys of the city. It suppresses the prayers of the people. It suppresses the light. It is a ceiling of lead. The guard feels the weight of the sky on the top of his bearskin cap. He is Atlas holding up the heavens. But these heavens are dark and empty. The snow drifts are forming distinct shapes now. To the left, a drift looks like a sleeping dog. To the right, a drift looks like a fallen soldier. The guard studies the fallen soldier. It is just snow. He knows this, but it looks so human. The curve of the back, the hump of the shoulder, the stillness. Is it a prophecy? Is it a mirror? He looks away. He looks back at the gate. The gate is real. The iron is real. The snow shapes are lies. The taste of the copper penny in the mouth. It is a hallucination of taste. There is no penny, but the metallic taste is strong. It is the taste of exhaustion, the taste of electrolysis in the cells. The battery is leaking. The acid is seeping out. The guard swallows the copper taste. It is bitter, it makes the throat constrict. He wants water. He wants sweet tea. He wants to wash the taste of the metal away, but there is only the copper and the cold. The lantern creates a reflection in the ice on the gate. A faint, distorted streak of orange on the black metal. It looks like a scratch of fire. It is the only warm color in the visual field. The guard fixates on this reflection. It is sharper than the flame itself. It is a trapped piece of light. He imagines reaching out and touching it. Would it burn, or would it be cold like the iron? He decides it would be cold. Everything is cold. Even the light is cold. The numbness in the legs is creeping higher. It has passed the knees. It is moving up the thighs. The quadriceps are becoming unresponsive. The sensation is of the legs turning to wood. Lignification. He is becoming a tree. His roots are in the snow. His trunk is the coat. His branches are the rifle. He is part of the park now. He will stand here until spring. The birds will nest in his cap. The moss will grow on his coat. The thought is peaceful. To be a tree is to have no duty. To be a tree is to simply be. The wind swirls the snow around the ankles or where the ankles used to be. It carves the drift away, then piles it back up. It is a constant remodeling of the foundation. The guard sways imperceptibly. The body corrects the balance without conscious thought. The inner ear is the captain of the ship. The mind is just a passenger. The ship is listing in the storm. The captain corrects the rudder. The passenger stares out the porthole at the white waves. The accumulation on the musket barrel is significant. A ridge of snow an inch high sits along the length of the metal. It balances perfectly. It shows how still the guard has been. To disturb the snow would be a failure of discipline. The snow on the rifle is a badge of honor. It proves the stillness. It proves the statue. The guard guards the snow on his rifle as much as he guards the palace. It is his creation. It is his masterpiece of stillness. The darkness seems to be entering the eyes. The peripheral vision is fading to black. The vignette effect is strong. The world is a circle of gray in a square of black. The circle is shrinking. The guard blinks hard, pop. The eyes open wide. The circle expands slightly. He fights the tunnel. He forces the eyes to scan. Left, right, center. The movement is sluggish. The eyeballs feel frozen in their sockets. The optical fluid is jelly. The scan is a jagged, jerking motion, but he sees. He sees the snow. He sees the dark. He is still on watch. The cold finds the small of the back, a gap between the waistcoat and the breeches. A draft enters there. It curls around the kidneys. It is a sharp, intimate pain. It feels like a knife made of ice. The guard arches his back slightly, trying to close the gap. The movement is stiff. The coat resists. The pain remains. It is a reminder of the vulnerability of the flesh. The armor is not perfect. The winter always finds a way in. The silence is so deep it rings, a high-pitched frequency that lives in the center of the brain, It is the sound of the nervous system under stress. It is the sound of the silent screaming. The guard accepts the sound. It is better than the nothingness. It is a companion. He harmonizes with it. He hums the silent note. He vibrates with the frequency of the freeze. The snow falls. The wind blows. The lantern flickers. The guard stands. The cycle repeats. There is no end. There is no beginning. There is only the middle. The frozen, silent, dark middle of the night. The universe has contracted to the space occupied by the greatcoat and the column of air immediately surrounding it. The rest of the world, the palace, the city, the distant mountains, has been erased by the heavy strokes of the night. In the vintage charcoal drawing of this existence, the edges of the paper have been torn away, leaving only the central figure suspended in a void of dark, textured gray. The snow does not fall from the sky anymore. It simply materializes in the air, born from the darkness itself. It is a spontaneous generation of white dust, clogging the atmosphere, filling the nose, filling the eyes, filling the mind. The guard stands in the center of this creation, a silent witness to the endless production of ice. The sensation of the body has undergone a fundamental shift. It is no longer a collection of aching muscles and shivering flesh. It has solidified. The guard feels calcified. The bones have fused together. The joints have filled with mortar. The flesh has turned to stone. He is no longer a man wearing a uniform. He is a statue carved from granite and dressed in wool. This petrification is a mercy. Stone does not feel cold. Stone does not feel wind. Stone simply endures. The mind retreats into the center of this stone statue, finding a small, quiet cavern deep within the chest where the spark of consciousness still flickers, protected by inches of rock and ice. The wind has changed its voice again. It no longer moans, it whispers. It is a sibilant serpentine sound that hisses against the ear flaps of the cap. SSSSSSS. It sounds like sand pouring over dry paper. It sounds like the erosion of mountains. It tells the guard that everything is temporary, that everything will eventually be ground down to dust and ice. The guard listens to the whisper. He agrees with it. He is being ground down. He is being eroded, but he will last the night. He is a hard stone. He will not crumble yet. The lantern creates a cone of illumination that seems to have density. The light looks like a yellow fog. It is thick particulate swirling with the motion of the microscopic ice crystals. The guard stares into this cone of light. He sees the turbulence of the air. He sees the chaotic dance of the atoms. The light does not reveal the ground anymore. It only reveals the snow. The ground is a memory. The world is made of layers of white. The guard is standing on a cloud, floating in the dark ether. The concept of down is relative. Gravity feels heavy, but there is nothing solid beneath the feet to push back. There is only the compression of the snow. The wool of the scarf has become a singular frozen mass. The individual strands of yarn are indistinguishable. They have been glued together by the condensed breath, forming a solid plate of ice-reinforced fabric. It acts as a shield for the lower face, a hard shell that deflects the wind. But it also traps the carbon dioxide. The air inside the scarf is heavy, poor in oxygen. The guard breathes his own exhaust. It makes the head light, the thoughts fuzzy. It induces a mild hypoxia that aids in the trance. The sleepiness is a warm, inviting pool. The guard dips his toes in it, but he does not dive. To dive is to die. The snow on the bearskin cap has accumulated to a significant height. It adds another few inches to the stature. It forms a white crown on top of the black fur. The weight is substantial. It compresses the cervical spine, pushing the head down into the shoulders. The neck muscles have locked in a permanent spasm to counter this weight, but the nerves have long since stopped reporting the pain. The neck is a rigid rod. The head is a fixed turret. The eyes can move, but the head cannot. To turn the head would be to break the seal of the collar, to let the cold in, to crack the statue. So the gaze remains fixed on the infinite middle distance. The visual field is dominated by the grain of the night. It is a visual static, a shimmering veil of gray dots that overlays everything. It is the noise of the retina starving for light. The guard watches the static. It forms patterns that shift and dissolve. A spiral, a grid, a face. The face of a woman, the face of a king. No, just the random firing of the optic nerve. The guard knows this. He does not engage with the hallucinations. He lets them play out on the screen of his vision like a silent theater. He is the audience of one. The cold has penetrated the gloves completely. The hands are no longer thermal entities. They are the same temperature as the musket stock. The The transfer of heat has stopped because there is no heat left to transfer. The equilibrium is absolute. The guard wonders if his fingers have become wood or if the wood has become flesh. The boundary is gone. He is holding the weapon with a grip that is molecular. He is fused to the duty. If he were relieved now, the new guard would have to take the man and the musket as a single unit. They cannot be separated. Silence of the city is profound. It is not just the absence of noise, it is the presence of a vacuum. The snow has swallowed the city whole. The houses, the streets, the churches, they are all buried under the silence. The guard feels the weight of this silence. It presses against his eardrums. It fills his head. It pushes out the memories of sound. He tries to remember the sound of a trumpet. He cannot. He tries to remember the sound of a laugh. He cannot. He can only hear the wind and the hiss of the snow. The auditory palette has been reduced to two colors, white noise and wind. A large snowflake lands on the brass button of the cuff. It is a perfect dendrite, a six-armed star of intricate geometry. The guard focuses on it. He zooms in with his mind's eye. He traces the delicate branching of the ice crystals. He marvels at the symmetry. It is a cathedral of water. It is a masterpiece that will exist for a minute and then vanish. The guard feels a responsibility to witness it. He is the curator of the snowflake. He watches it until a gust of wind blows it away, back into the white chaos. He feels a tiny pang of loss. The breath cloud is now a continuous feature of the landscape. It does not dissipate between breaths. It hangs there, a permanent fog bank in front of the face. The guard looks through his own ghost. The fog distorts the view of the gate. The iron bars waver and bend in the mist. The world looks fluid, unstable. The only stable thing is the cold. The cold is a constant. The cold is truth. The sensation in the feet is a distant, dull pressure. It feels as if the guard is standing on stilts far above the ground. The connection to the earth is remote. The signals from the soles of the feet take a long time to travel up the frozen telegraph lines of the legs. Shift weight. The command is sent. Seconds later, a faint shift in pressure is felt. The delay is significant. The body is operating on a lag. The transmission speeds are slowed by the temperature. The guard is a machine running in slow motion. The tree to the left, a skeletal oak, is groaning. The wood is contracting in the freeze, irk. It is a low, mournful sound like the creaking of a ship's timber. The tree is suffering. The tree is cold. The guard feels a sympathy for the tree. They are both standing in the snow, unable to move, enduring the winter. They are brothers in solidity. The guard imagines the sap in the tree, frozen solid, waiting for spring. He imagines his own blood, thick and sluggish, waiting for the dawn. They are both waiting. The darkness of the shadows is inky and rich. In the vintage drawing, the artist has pressed the charcoal stick until it snapped, creating a black so deep it absorbs the light. The shadows under the guardhouse eaves are abysses. They are portals to a world without light. The guard avoids looking into them. He keeps his eyes on the snow, on the gray, on the faint light. The black is dangerous. The black is sleep. To look into the black is to invite the void. The texture of the greatcoat is rough, like a landscape of frozen hills and valleys. The wool fibers are stiff bristles. The snow that has settled in the folds of the coat has frozen into solid drifts. The guard is carrying a miniature winter landscape on his body. He is a terraform of the storm. If a tiny explorer were to walk across his shoulder, they would think they were crossing a glacier. The guard feels the weight of this glacier. It pulls him down. It anchors him. The smell of the cold is metallic and sharp. It smells like old iron and vast distances. It cleanses the lungs. It scours the insides. The guard feels hollowed out by the air. There is nothing left inside him but the cold wind. He is a flute played by the storm. The wind blows through him and the note is silence. The hunger has passed. The stomach has gone dormant. It has accepted the fast. The body has switched to a different fuel source. It is burning the reserves of will. It is burning the stubbornness. The guard feeds the fire with his refusal to move. I will not move. This thought is a log thrown on the fire. I will not sit. Another log. I will not sleep. Another log. The fire burns low and blue, but it burns. The light from the lantern catches the edge of the bayonet. A single line of silver glints in the darkness. It is a razor-sharp line. It looks cold enough to cut the eye. The guard focuses on this line. It is a definition of sharpness in a world of soft, blurry snow. It is a reminder of the martial duty. He is armed. He is dangerous, or at least he was. Now he is just a scarecrow with a knife. But the knife still shines. The symbol remains. The snow accumulation has reached the hem of the greatcoat and is now burying the bottom inches of the fabric. The coat is becoming part of the ground. The drift is welding the man to the earth. The guard feels the tug of the snow on the coat. It is a gentle, downward pull. Join us, the snow says. Lie down, be covered. The guard resists the pull. He lifts his chest, pulling the coat up a fraction of an inch. It is a tiny rebellion. It is enough. The wind swirls around the ankles, sculpting the snow into new shapes. It digs a trough behind the heels. It builds a ramp in front of the toes. It is constantly landscaping the guard's pedestal. The guard feels the turbulence of the air through the leather of the boots. It feels like water rushing past a pier piling. He is the piling. The tide of the night is rising. The visual focus shifts to the space between the falling flakes, the negative space, the dark air. The guard tries to see the air itself. It is thick, viscous, it moves like syrup. The snowflakes are suspended in it. The time distortion is extreme. A single flake takes an eternity to fall from the top of the visual field to the bottom. The guard watches it fall, down, down, down. He waits for the impact. Touch. The flake lands. The event is over. The universe continues. The numbness in the face is absolute. The nose, the cheeks, the chin, they are a mask of porcelain. The guard tries to twitch his nose. He cannot feel if it moves. He assumes it is still there. He assumes he still has a face, but he cannot prove it. He feels like a consciousness floating in a cloud of gray wool. The body is a distant memory, a vessel he used to inhabit. The lantern flame gives a sudden pop, a burst of gas from the poor-quality oil. It flares bright yellow for a split second, illuminating the falling snow with a harsh, momentary clarity. In that second, the guard sees the millions of flakes, a wall of white descending. It is overwhelming. The sheer quantity of the snow is terrifying. Then the light fades back to the dull orange, and the wall recedes into the gloom. The guard blinks. The image of the wall of white is burned into his retina. He sees it even when he closes his eyes. The silence is broken by the distant sound of the cathedral bell. Dong. It is a muffled, heavy sound struggling through the heavy air. Dong, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. The guard tries to count. Dong. The sound is distorted, warped by the wind. It sounds like a bell ringing underwater. Dong, 4. He waits for the next one. It does not come. 4 o'clock. The deepest part of the night, the anchor of the darkness. The sun is a myth from a distant land. There is only this. The cold in the spine is a rod of ice. It feels as if the spinal fluid has frozen. The back is rigid. The posture is perfect, not out of discipline, but out of necessity. To slouch would be to break the rod. The guard is held up by his own frozen anatomy. He is a structure of tension and ice. The pain is a low background frequency. It is the hum of the existence. The shadows of the trees are long, reaching across the snow to touch the gate. They look like the hands of giants grasping for the palace. The guard watches the shadow hands. They do not move. They are frozen in the act of reaching. The darkness is paralyzed too. The whole world is a tableau of arrested motion, a photograph of a storm. The thoughts in the mind are slow, tumbling over each other like stones in a riverbed. Cold, snow, wind, stand. There are no complex sentences, there is no philosophy. There is only the noun and the verb, the existence is elemental. The guard has become a simple organism. Input cold, output stand. The wool of the greatcoat is saturated. The moisture has penetrated the outer layer and is soaking into the batting. It is heavy, wet, and cold. It sucks the heat from the layers beneath. The guard feels the dampness on his shoulders. It is a clammy, sickly feeling. It is the touch of the hypothermia. He shudders, a microscopic vibration of the core. He burns a calorie of will to heat the blood. He pushes the dampness back. Snow on the ground is bright. Even in the dark, it reflects the ambient light of the universe. It glows with a faint spectral luminescence. It lights the guard's face from below. It gives him a ghostly, underlit appearance. He looks like a specter haunting the gate. He feels like a specter. He wonders if he is dead, if this is the afterlife, standing in the snow forever. It is a plausible theory. He considers it without emotion. If he is dead, at least he doesn't have to worry about the relief. The visual texture of the scene is grainy, like sand on a black table. The falling snow adds to the grain. The world is a pointillist painting made of gray dots. The guard dissolves into the dots. He is just a concentration of gray pixels in a field of white noise. He loses his boundaries. Where does the coat end and the night begin? It is impossible to say. The breath inside the scarf is the only clock. Inhale. The cold air rushes in through the nose. Exhale. The warm air fills the wool cup. Wait. The warmth fades. Inhale. It is a cycle of seconds. The guard counts the breaths. 100, 200. He builds a tower of breaths. He climbs the tower to see the morning. But the tower is made of fog. It collapses. He starts again. The wind pushes against the chest, a steady, relentless pressure. It wants to knock him over. It wants to lay him down in the soft white bed. Sleep, the wind whispers. Sleep in the snow. The guard leans into the wind. He pushes back with his mass. He is a mountain. Mountains do not sleep. He digs his non-existent toes into the non-existent ground. He stands. The lantern flickers, a slow, rhythmic pulsing. Dim, bright, dim, bright. It is the heartbeat of the night. The guard synchronizes his own heart with it. He slows his pulse to match the dying lamp. He becomes one with the light source. He is burning his own oil. He is fading, but he is still burning. The frost on the eyelashes has grown so thick that the eyes are looking through tunnels of ice. The world is framed in white crystals. The vision is prismatic. The lantern light splits into tiny rainbows in the ice. It is a beautiful, fractured view of the world. The guard appreciates the beauty. It is the only gift the night has given him. A pair of crystal glasses to watch the end of the world. The sensation of the cold is no longer on the skin. It is in the marrow. The bones ache with a deep, resonating chill. It feels as if the skeleton is made of dry ice. The cold radiates from the inside out. The guard is a source of cold. He is cooling the air around him. He is the winter. The snow keeps falling. It fills the footprints of the past. It smooths the world. It erases the mistakes. It erases the history. There is only the white present. The guard stands in the center of the white present. He is the marker. He is the pin in the map. You are here, and here is cold. The weight of the musket is part of the gravity. It pulls the arm down. The arm pulls the shoulder down. The shoulder pulls the neck down. The whole body is being dragged earthward. The guard fights the drag. He lengthens the spine. He lifts the head. He defies the earth. He stands tall. He is the royal guard. He does not slump. Even when frozen, even when asleep, he stands. The darkness is soft. It is not sharp or scary. It is a soft, embracing velvet. It wraps around the guard. It comforts him. It tells him it is okay to be cold. It tells him it is okay to be still. The guard accepts the comfort. He leans into the dark. He lets it hold him up. He is supported by the night. The texture of the stone wall is gone, covered in a sheet of vertical ice. The wall is a mirror of frost. The guard cannot see his reflection, but he knows it is there. A dark shape in a white mirror. A shadow watching a shadow. The duality of the watch. The observer and the observed. They are both frozen. A sudden stillness in the air. The wind drops for a second. The silence rushes in to fill the gap. It is a deafening silence, a roar of nothingness. The guard stands in the eye of the storm. The peace is absolute. It is the peace of the statue. It is the peace of the stone. He breathes in the silence. He holds it. Then the wind returns, whispering, hissing. But the memory of the silence remains. A seed of peace in the heart of the cold. The snow rises. The light fades. The guard stands. The night continues. The night has thickened into a substance that feels heavier than air, heavier than water. It is a viscous medium of darkness and ice through which the guard must maintain his existence. The atmosphere exerts a pressure that is almost oceanic, a crushing weight that pushes against the chest, the eardrums, and the backs of the eyes. The guard stands at the bottom of this dark ocean, a solitary reef of wool and iron around which the currents of the winter flow. The sensation of buoyancy is gone. There is only the sensation of density. The body is heavy, dense, and sinking. It sinks not into the earth, but into the stillness. The stillness is the sediment that buries the feet, the calves, and now the knees. The snow accumulation has reached a critical structural level. It has risen to engulf the knees, cementing the joints in a cast of packed ice. The definition of the legs is entirely lost. From the waist down, the guard is merely a mound of white, a vertical drift that happens to have a human core. The pressure of the snow against the wool of the trousers is constant and firm. It provides a strange kind of support. The legs no longer need to do the work of standing. The snow holds them upright. The guard leans into this support. He trusts the drift. He has become a part of the architecture of the winter, a pillar constructed of flesh and ice. The lantern is dying. The flame has shrunk to the size of a fingernail, a tiny, trembling blue arc with a tip of orange. It no longer casts a circle of light. It merely glows, a weak phosphorescence in the gloom. The surrounding world has retreated into the dark. The gate is visible only as a series of black vertical scars against the gray background. The trees are gone. The wall is gone. The visual universe has contracted to the immediate proximity of the body. The guard can see his own gloves, the breech of the musket, and the falling flakes that pass within inches of his face. Beyond that, there is only the void. The void is not empty. It is textured. It is a wall of charcoal, rough and impenetrable. The sound of the wind has dropped to a subsonic vibration. It is a tremor in the air, a shudder that passes through the stone and the bone. It is the sound of the earth shivering. The guard feels this vibration in his teeth. Hum. It is a constant, low-frequency reminder of the energy of the storm. It masks the silence of the city, which is now absolute. The city is a memory. The concept of houses and streets feels abstract, like geometry from a forgotten lesson. There is only the courtyard. There is only the snow. There is only the post. The cold has worked its way through the final layers of defense. It has bypassed the greatcoat, bypassed the waistcoat, bypassed the linen. It has touched the skin of the torso. It feels like a sheet of cold metal pressed against the ribs. The skin tightens, the pores close, the hair stands up in a futile attempt to trap air. But there is no air to trap. There is only the chill. The core body temperature is dropping degree by degree, a slow slide down the thermometer. The internal fire is banking. The metabolic furnace is rationing its fuel. The guard feels this cooling as a slowing of time. Thoughts move slower. The heart beats slower. The blood moves like molasses. The texture of the visual scene is heavily grained. The low light and the fatigue create a visual noise that overlays everything. It looks like the texture of rough, handmade paper. The darkness is not solid black. It is a chaotic field of dark gray dots. The snow is not solid white. It is a field of light gray scratches. The guard feels like he is trapped inside a drawing that is being erased. The artist is rubbing the paper with a heavy eraser, smudging the lines, blending the figure into the background. The edges of the greatcoat are blurring. The distinct line of the shoulder is lost. The guard is dissolving into the night. The weight of the bearskin cap is a physical oppressive force. It feels as if a stone has been placed on the head. The neck vertebrae are compressed. The muscles of the trapezius are rock hard, locked in a permanent shrug. The guard wants to tilt his head back to relieve the strain to crack the neck, but he cannot. The collar of the coat is a stiff brace. The ice on the shoulders is a weld. The head is fixed. The gaze is fixed. The eyes are the only moving parts, and even they are slow, dragging through the jelly of the cold. The breath inside the scarf has created a complex structure of ice. The wool is no longer fabric, it is a composite material. The moisture from hours of breathing has saturated the fibers and frozen, creating a hard, concave shell that cups the chin and mouth. It is like wearing a muzzle of ice. The air that passes through it is filtered by the frost. It tastes of nothing. It tastes of zero. The guard runs his tongue over his lips. They are dry, cracked, and numb. He tastes the salt of a dried tear. It is the only flavor in the world. The sensation of the hands on the musket is one of fusion. The leather of the gloves has frozen to the wood of the stock. The wood has frozen to the metal of the barrel. The hands are clamps. They are not holding the weapon, they are part of the mounting mechanism. The guard tries to sense the tips of his fingers. There is no signal. The nerves end at the wrist. The hands are foreign objects, tools attached to the ends of the arms. He looks at them with a mild curiosity. They look large, clumsy, like the paws of a bear. They are covered in snow. A small drift has formed between the thumb and the forefinger, a tiny valley of white on the landscape of the hand. The silence is interrupted by a sound from the gate, clink. It is the sound of metal contracting. The iron bars are shrinking in the intense cold. The metal is singing its own song of endurance, clink. The sound is sharp, clear, and lonely. It echoes briefly in the muffled courtyard and then dies. The guard registers the sound. Iron, he thinks, cold iron. The thought is simple. It does not lead to other thoughts. It sits in the mind like a stone. The snow falls with a relentless, heavy purpose. It is not dancing anymore. It is dumping. The flakes are large, wet, and heavy. They land with a perceptible weight. The guard feels the impact of the snow on his shoulders. Tap, tap, tap. It is a gentle drumming. The storm is tapping him on the shoulder, asking for his attention, but he gives his attention to nothing. He stares forward. He stares through the snow. He stares into the grain of the night. The view of the lantern flame is mesmerizing. As the oil depletes, the flame is starving. It gasps for fuel. It shrinks, then flares, then shrinks again. It is a dying heart. The guard feels a synchronized empathy with the flame. He is also starving, he is also gasping, he is also shrinking. The light is the externalization of his life force. If the flame goes out, does he go out? It is a superstitious thought born of the trance, but it feels true. He wills the flame to continue. Burn, he thinks. Just burn. The numbness in the feet has evolved. It is no longer a lack of sensation. It is a presence of cold. The feet feel like blocks of ice attached to the ankles. They radiate cold up the legs. The bones of the shins are freezing. The marrow is freezing. The guard imagines his skeleton turning to glass. If he were to stomp his foot, the leg might shatter into 1,000 glittering shards. The image is beautiful and terrifying. He remains perfectly still. He protects the glass bones. The darkness under the visor of the cap is a pool of shadow. The eyes look out from this cave. The brow is heavy. The eyelids are heavy. The blink rate has slowed to once every 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3. The eyes dry out. Blink. The moisture freezes. Blink. The eyelids stick slightly. Sticky. The sensation is gritty. It feels like there is sand in the eyes, but it is just ice dust. The guard does not rub his eyes. He cannot move his hands. He endures the grit. The memories of the day are gone. The memories of the summer are gone. The mind has been wiped clean by the white noise of the snow. There is only the immediate sensory input, the gray, the white, the cold, the silence. The guard tries to conjure an image of a fire. He tries to visualize the red flames, the black coals, the gray smoke. He sees the image for a fleeting second, faint and translucent like a ghost, and then the snow overwrites it. The imagination is too weak to fight the reality. The reality is ice. A gust of wind catches the skirt of the greatcoat, which is now stiff with frozen snow. It does not flap. It moves as a solid sheet, creaking like a board. Creak. The sound of the frozen fabric is organic, like the sound of a breaking branch. The coat is calcifying. It is becoming a shell. The guard is the organism living inside the shell. He pulls his arms closer to his body, shrinking inside the armor. He is a turtle. He is a snail. He is a soldier. The snow on the ground has lost all definition. It is a flat, featureless plane of white that rises to meet the darkness. There are no footprints anymore. The path of the relief guard, if he ever came, is erased. The path of the guard himself is erased. He is an island in the white sea. The sea is rising. It laps at his knees. It threatens to pull him under. He stands firm. He is the lighthouse, but the light is failing. The smell of the lamp oil changes as the wick begins to burn. It becomes acrid, smoky, the smell of charred cotton. It is a bitter scent. It stings the nostrils. It is the smell of the end of the watch, but the bells have not rung. The time is not up. The oil has failed before the duty. The guard notes this failure. Poor quartermaster, he thinks. Poor oil. The blame is distant, unemotional. It is just a fact. The supplies are insufficient for the winter. The deep blue of the drawing has shifted to a murky, brownish black near the lantern. The light is polluting the dark. The colors are muddy. The vintage style is messy here, with heavy smudging of the pastels. The separation between the figure and the background is almost non-existent. The gray of the coat blends into the gray of the night. Only the faint glint of the buttons and the white of the snow define the form. The guard is a camouflage expert. He is hiding in plain sight. The sensation of the spine is one of compression. The vertebrae are grinding together. The discs are compressed. The guard feels shorter. He feels the weight of the sky pushing him down. He resists. He engages the muscles of the lower back. They are stiff, cold, and resentful, but they obey. The spine straightens a millimeter. The chin lifts a millimeter. The defiance is microscopic, but it exists. The visual focus shifts to the air in front of the nose. The guard watches his breath condense. It is a slow, rhythmic puff of white. It looks like a spirit leaving the body. Puff, gone, puff, gone is he breathing out his soul, piece by piece, minute by minute. By the time the morning comes, will there be anything left inside? Or will he be just a hollow shell standing at the gate? The thought is peaceful. To be hollow is to be free of the cold. The cold finds the ears. The earlobes are burning, the cartilage is freezing. The sound of the wind in the ears is muffled by the cap, but the cold penetrates. It is a silent invasion. The guard wiggles his ears, or he tries to. The muscles are frozen. The connection is lost. The ears are just decoration now, artifacts of a warmer time. The silence of the park is deep. It is the silence of a library, the silence of a tomb. The trees are the columns of the tomb. The snow is the shroud. The guard is the sentinel. He feels a solemnity in the moment. He is part of a grand, silent ceremony. The ceremony of the winter. He respects the ceremony. He maintains the decorum. He does not fidget. He does not complain. He stands. The hunger has returned, but it is different now. It is not a craving for food. It is a craving for heat. The body wants thermal energy. It wants to consume warmth. The guard imagines drinking boiling water. He imagines eating hot coals. The phantoms of heat are vivid. He feels the phantom burn on his tongue. It is a comforting pain. It distracts from the real pain of the freeze. The texture of the darkness is heavy. It feels like velvet drapes are hanging all around him. He could reach out and touch the black velvet. It would be soft, cold, and dry. The darkness absorbs the sound. It absorbs the light. It absorbs the hope. The guard is wrapped in the velvet. He is swaddled in the night. A sudden shiver racks the body. It is violent, a seismic event in the statue. The teeth clack together, clack, clack, clack. The musket shakes in the hand. The snow on the cap is disturbed, a few flakes falling down onto the nose. The shiver lasts for 3 seconds. It is the body's last-ditch effort to generate heat. The muscles spasm, burning the last of the glycogen. Then it stops. The exhaustion rushes back in. The stillness returns. The guard feels weaker. The shiver cost him. He cannot afford another one. The lantern flame flickers wildly, dancing a frantic jig. The shadows jump. The world spasms visually. Then the flame settles back to its tiny blue existence. It is teasing the dark. It is playing a dangerous game. The guard watches the game. He bets on the flame. He puts all his chips on the orange dot. "Don't go out," he whispers in his mind. Not yet. The snow accumulation on the boots is now a slope. It ramps up from the ground to the shin. The boots are buried in a hill of white. The guard looks down, but he cannot see his feet. He sees only the snow. He has no feet. He has roots. He is growing out of the ground. The thought is persistent. He is a plant, a winter cabbage, a frost fern. He belongs to the earth now. The wind shifts direction. It comes from the north again, straight into the face. It carries ice crystals that are sharp and hard. They sting the cheeks. They sting the eyes. The guard squints. The eyelashes interlock, freezing together. He has to force them open. Rip. A tiny sensation of hair pulling. The ice seal is broken. The eyes remain open. The wind is cruel. It demands to be seen. The thoughts are looping. Cold, snow, dark, stand, cold, snow, dark, stand. The loop is a mantra. It is a prayer. It keeps the mind from breaking. It keeps the mind from running away. The guard recites the mantra. He paces the cell of his mind, reciting the 4 words. They are the corners of his world. The wool of the greatcoat is frozen solid. If he were to be struck with a hammer, the coat would ring like a bell. It is a suit of armor. It protects him from the wind, but it also traps him. He cannot bend his arms. He cannot bend his waist. He is locked in the vertical. The coat is the master. The man is the servant. The visual style is stark. High contrast between the white snow and the black shadows. The grays are disappearing. The world is becoming binary, light and dark, 1 and 0, life and death. The guard stands on the line between the two. He is the gray variable. The silence is broken by the sound of the guard's own heart. Thud, thud, thud. It is slow, painfully slow, like a drum beaten by a tired drummer. The guard listens to the rhythm. Is it skipping? Is it stopping? No, it continues, stubborn, loyal. The heart is the only thing that is still warm. It is the engine room of the ship. The captain is asleep. The crew is frozen, but the engine still turns. The darkness presses against the eyes. The peripheral vision is almost gone. The guard sees through a tube. At the end of the tube is the falling snow. The tunnel is long. The light is far away. He is falling down a well of snow. He falls standing still. The taste of the metal in the mouth is stronger. It tastes like old coins. It coats the tongue. The saliva is thick and sticky. The throat is dry parchment. The guard tries to swallow. It is a painful convulsion. The throat clicks, click. The sound is loud inside the head. It sounds like a trigger being pulled. The weight of the musket is unbearable. It feels like it weighs 100 pounds. The arm muscles are burning with a cold fire. The shoulder is screaming. The guard wants to drop it, to let it fall into the snow, to be free of the burden, but the hand is frozen. The grip is locked. The weapon is glued to him. He could not drop it if he tried. The burden is permanent. The snow rises. The lantern dims. The guard stands. The night is endless. The cold is absolute. The statue waits. The darkness has acquired a physical density, a texture that feels like heavy, wet wool pressed against the surface of the eyes. It is no longer simply the absence of light. It is a presence, a vast, suffocating entity that has filled the courtyard, the park, and the spaces between the falling snowflakes. The air is solidifying. The guard stands encased in this solidifying medium, a fly trapped in black amber. The snow accumulation has risen relentlessly, swallowing the knees and creeping up the thighs. The legs are no longer pillars of support. They are structural elements of the landscape, buried deep within the geological strata of the storm. To the observer, the guard now appears to be a bust placed upon a pedestal of white marble. The lower half of the body has been ceded to the winter. It belongs to the ground now. The lantern is in its final throes. The flame is a microscopic bead of blue fire dancing desperately on the blackened tip of the wick. It emits a light that is less than a glow. It is a mere stain on the darkness, a faint bruise of sickly ochre that barely illuminates the glass housing. The shadows have conquered the courtyard. They press in close, touching the hem of the greatcoat, touching the barrel of the musket. The visual world has shrunk to a radius of arm's length. Beyond that, the vintage drawing has been rubbed out by the artist's thumb, smeared into a uniform, textured void of charcoal gray. The definition of the gate is gone. The definition of the wall is gone. There is only the guard, the snow, and the dying spark. The wind has changed its timbre once more. It has ceased to be a whistle or a moan. It is now a silence that moves. It pushes the air with a steady hydraulic pressure. It flows around the guard like a deep river around a submerged stone. It carries no sound, for there is nothing left to vibrate. The world has been dampened, muffled, and silenced by the depth of the snow. The guard hears only the internal sounds of his own physiology, the slow, sludge-like movement of the blood in the carotid artery, the creaking of the cartilage in the neck, the faint, high-pitched whine of the nervous system shutting down. Ee. It is the sound of the wire stretched too tight. It is the sound of the cold. The sensation in the torso is one of hollowing out. The core heat has retreated deep into the center of the chest, protecting the heart and lungs. The outer layers of the body, the skin, the fat, the muscle, have been surrendered to the ambient temperature. The guard feels like a shell. The greatcoat is the outer shell, the skin is the inner shell, and inside there is a vacuum. The cold wind seems to blow right through the ribs as if the body were made of wicker. The sensation is not painful anymore. It is simply a fact of existence. The body is permeable. The winter flows through it. The texture of the snow on the bearskin cap is heavy and wet. The heat escaping from the top of the head has melted the bottom layer of the snow, which has then refrozen into a cap of ice. This ice bonds the fur to the skull. The hat is fused to the head. It feels like a helmet of lead. The weight compresses the cervical vertebrae, grinding them together. The chin is forced down into the collar. The posture is one of submission to the gravity of the storm. The guard cannot look up. He can only look forward, into the gray mist of the falling flakes. The breath inside the scarf has created a microclimate of disaster. The humidity is 100%. The air is stale, recycled, and cooling. The ice shell formed by the condensation has grown inward, touching the lips. It is a kiss of ice. The guard's mustache is frozen into the scarf. The hairs are trapped in the matrix of the frozen wool. To open the mouth would be to tear the hair out by the roots. So the mouth remains sealed. The communication with the world is severed. The guard is mute. He is a silent observer of the end of the night. The visual field is disintegrating. The lack of light and the exhaustion have caused the retina to fail. The vision is grainy, filled with visual snow, a static that mimics the real snow falling outside. The guard cannot tell which specks are real and which are hallucinations. Is that white dot a snowflake, or is it a firing neuron? The world is a swarm of white insects. They crawl over the eyes. They crawl over the mind. The guard stares through the swarm. He looks for the gate, but the gate is a shadow. He looks for the tree, but the tree is a ghost. He looks for the ground, but the ground is a cloud. The numbness has claimed the hips. The sensation of the pelvis is gone. The guard feels as if he is floating from the waist up. The connection to the legs is severed. He is a torso suspended in the air. This feeling of levitation is disorienting. The inner ear signals that he is upright, but the body signals that he is weightless. The contradiction makes the head spin. The guard closes his eyes for a second to ground himself. Darkness. Spinning. Open. The gray world returns. The spinning slows. He focuses on the musket. The musket is the anchor. As long as he holds the wood, he is real. The texture of the darkness near the ground is different from the darkness in the sky. The ground darkness is heavy, thick with the accumulation of shadows. The sky darkness is lighter, thinner, diluted by the clouds. The guard stands in the gradient between the two. He is the transition zone. His boots are in the black. His head is in the gray. He is a ladder connecting the depths to the shallows. The smell of the cold is now the only scent in the universe. It has erased the smell of the city, the smell of the horses, the smell of the smoke. It is a sterile, chemical scent like ozone and wet stone. It scours the nasal passages. It freezes the mucous membranes. The guard feels the air entering his nose as two solid rods of ice. They slide down the throat and into the lungs. They cool the blood. They cool the heart. The breath is the enemy, yet it is the necessity, the paradox of survival. Silence is shattered or perhaps accented by a soft thud. A mass of snow slides from the epaulet of the greatcoat and falls to the drift below. The guard feels the sudden shift in weight. The left shoulder is lighter. The balance is upset. The muscles spasm to correct the list. The movement is microscopic, a twitch of the frozen fibers. The snow on the ground accepts the new contribution without a sound. It is swallowed by the white sponge. The guard remains still. The balance is restored. The statue adjusts. The thoughts in the mind have slowed to a geological pace. A single thought takes minutes to form. The lantern. The concept floats in the brain like a slow cloud. Is, the verb drifts by. Dying, the sentence completes itself. The guard examines the thought. It is true. The lantern is dying. He feels no panic. Panic requires energy. Panic requires speed. He has neither. He watches the lantern with a detached scientific interest. He waits for the end of the light. The wool of the greatcoat is now a frozen carapace. The moisture has permeated every fiber and turned to ice. The coat is a hard shell, stiff as a board. It does not drape, it stands. If the guard were to vanish from inside it, the coat would remain standing, a hollow sculpture of a soldier. The guard feels the hardness of the fabric against his arms. It presses into the biceps. It presses into the forearms. It is a vice. He is clamped in the jaws of the uniform. The light from the dying flame reflects off a single crystal of ice on the barrel of the musket. It creates a tiny, sharp point of starlight in the gloom. The guard fixates on this point. It is the only sharp thing in the blurry world. It is a beacon. He imagines himself shrinking down, entering the crystal, living inside the point of light. It would be bright there. It would be clear, but he is large. He is heavy. He is stuck in the gray. The time is an abstraction. There are no bells. The wind has swallowed the sound of the clock tower. Is it 4 o'clock? 5? Has the dawn been cancelled? It feels as if the sun has burned out, leaving the earth to drift in eternal winter. The guard accepts this possibility. The long night is not a metaphor. It is a physical reality. He is the guardian of the eternal night. He will stand here until the glaciers return. The hunger is gone. The thirst is gone. The body has moved beyond want. It is in a state of stasis. The metabolic functions are suspended. The guard is a machine that has been turned off but left standing. The pilot light is still on the heart, but the main engines are cold. This state is peaceful. It is a liberation from the tyranny of the body. There is no itch. There is no pain. There is only the presence. The shadows of the iron gate bars have merged into a solid wall of black. The spaces between the bars have been filled by the dark. The gate is no longer a barrier of metal. It is a barrier of shadow. The guard looks at the wall of shadow. It looks solid. If he were to walk into it, he would bounce off. Or perhaps he would pass through it, stepping into the void. He does not test it. He stays on his side of the line. The side of the snow. The wind swirls a vortex of snow around the chest. It looks like a white phantom embracing him. The flakes cling to the red wool of the tunic, hidden beneath the gray coat and the brass of the buttons. They build a layer of frost on the chest. The guard has a white heart now. The frost protects him. It seals the warmth in what little is left. The phantom embrace is cold, but it is an embrace. He leans into it. The sensation of the hands is purely visual. The guard sees the gloves. He sees the grip, but he feels nothing. The hands could be made of clay. The rifle could be made of stone. The connection is intellectual. I am holding the rifle, he thinks. Therefore he is. The Cartesian logic of the century. I stand, therefore I am. The visual style of the scene is heavy with the grain of the paper. The charcoal has been rubbed deep into the texture. The blacks are matte and flat. The whites are the absence of charcoal. The grays are the smudges. The guard feels like he is made of smudge. His edges are soft. He is blending into the background. He is becoming part of the atmosphere. A sudden drop in temperature. A pocket of supercooled air moves over the courtyard. The temperature plunges 10 degrees in a second. The air snaps, the stones crack, the trees groan. The guard feels the shockwave of the cold. It hits him like a hammer. The breath stops in the throat. The heart skips a beat. The eyes water and freeze instantly. It is a moment of violence. The winter is showing its teeth. The guard endures the bite. He does not flinch. He cannot flinch. He is frozen. The accumulation of snow on the eyelashes creates a tunnel effect. The guard is looking through two small holes in a wall of ice. The field of view is restricted to a few degrees. He sees only the flame of the lantern. The rest of the world is cut off. This tunnel vision is hypnotic. The flame becomes the universe. It pulses. It breathes. It speaks to him in a language of light, flicker, fade, flare. It is a Morse code of the fire. The guard tries to decipher it. It says, "Wait." The silence of the city is heavy, pressing down on the skull. It is the silence of a held breath. The city is waiting for the guard to fall. The snow is waiting. The wind is waiting. The whole world is paused, watching the contest between the man and the cold. The guard feels the pressure of the audience. He straightens his spine a fraction. He will not give them the satisfaction. He will stand. The darkness under the coat is absolute. Inside the layers of wool and linen there is no light. The body is wrapped in a personal night. The guard imagines the darkness inside him. It is a warm darkness, or at least warmer than the outside darkness. He retreats into this inner night. He visualizes his heart beating in the dark, a red drum in a black room. Boom, boom, boom. The snow rises past the mid-thigh. It is reaching for the hips. The guard is being consumed. The snow is an ocean and he is sinking, but he is sinking upwards. The ground is rising to meet him. The geometry of the burial is precise. The snow fills every gap. It packs tight against the wool. It leaves no space for the air. It is a perfect seal. The lantern flame dips violently. It almost extinguishes. The darkness leaps forward, touching the nose. Then the flame recovers, weak and trembling. The guard lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding. The light is still there. The thread is not cut, but it is fraying. The oil is almost gone. The smell of the burning wick is strong now. It masks the smell of the snow. It is the smell of finality. The texture of the stone wall is invisible, but the guard remembers it. He projects the memory onto the darkness. He sees the granite blocks. He sees the mortar lines. He sees the iron hook. The memory is superimposed over the reality. It is a mental map of the post. He navigates by this map. He knows where the wall is. He knows where the gate is. He knows where he is. He is at the center. The wind whispers a single syllable. Hush. It is the sound of the snow sliding over snow. Hush. The guard obeys. He hushes his mind. He hushes his heart. He quiets the internal noise. He becomes as silent as the snow. He blends in. To survive the predator, one must become the background. The winter is the predator. The guard is the background. The weight of the musket pulls on the shoulder socket. The joint feels separated. The humerus hangs by the ligaments. The pain is a dull ache buried under layers of numbness. It is a structural failure. The guard adjusts the balance, leaning slightly to the right. The snow supports him. The snow takes the weight. The snow is a crutch. The blue of the night has faded to a deep monochromatic charcoal. There is no color left in the world. Even the red tunic is black in the darkness. The brass is gray. The gold is mud. The world has lost its pigment. It is a sketch in ash. The guard feels as if he is made of ash, fragile, crumbly. If the wind blows too hard, he might blow away. The breath cloud is a solid object now. It hangs in front of the face, a sculpture of fog. It freezes onto the scarf, adding to the ice mask. The guard is building a wall in front of his face. Brick by brick, breath by breath, he is walling himself in. He is sealing the tomb. The sensation of the toes is a memory from a past life. The guard tries to wiggle them. He sends the command down the long, dark tunnel of the leg. The command disappears. No response. The line is dead. The feet are gone. He accepts this loss. He does not need feet to stand. The snow holds him. The duty holds him. The silence rings. A high-pitched tone that never stops. Ee. It gets louder as the wind drops. It is the sound of the vacuum, the sound of space. The guard listens to the tone. It is his companion. It sings to him. He sings back in his mind, a duet of silence. The snow falls, the darkness presses, the lantern fades, the guard stands. The night is a weight, the guard carries it. The darkness has achieved a state of absolute solidity. It is no longer a medium through which one looks, but a material against which one presses. The air has thickened into a heavy, semi-solid gel of freezing night, suspending the falling snow in a slow-motion matrix of gray particulate matter. The guard stands embedded in this substance, a fossil trapped in the strata of a winter that feels centuries old. The snow accumulation has risen past the hips, reaching the lower buttons of the waistcoat hidden beneath the greatcoat. The lower half of the body has been effectively erased from the visible world. It has merged with the topography of the courtyard. There are no legs, no boots, no ground. There is only the rising tide of white, a silent flood that climbs the body inch by inch, claiming the uniform for the earth. The lantern is in the final stage of its existence. The oil is gone. The flame is now feeding on the charred remains of the cotton wick itself. It burns with a low, sullen red glow, a dying ember suspended in the glass housing. The light it casts is weak, bloody, and trembling. It does not illuminate the snow so much as stain it with a faint, bruised rust color. The circle of visibility has collapsed to a mere shell around the guard's torso. The gate is gone. The wall is gone. The world has ended 3 feet away. In the vintage charcoal drawing of this moment, the artist has filled the page with heavy, aggressive strokes of black, leaving only a small, smudged area of deep brown and gray in the center to represent the fading consciousness of the century. The wind has ceased its forward motion and settled into a heavy, downward pressure. It sits on the shoulders like a physical yoke. It presses the bearskin cap down onto the cranium. It presses the boots, wherever they are, into the stone. It is a gravity wave of cold air. The sound of the wind is gone, replaced by a ringing silence that vibrates in the fluid of the inner ear. HMMMMM. It is the sound of the atmospheric pressure crushing the senses. The guard hears this sound as a constant, monotone note, a lullaby of the void. He tunes his mind to it. He matches his frequency to the frequency of the freeze. The sensation of the body is one of structural integration with the environment. The wool of the greatcoat has frozen into a rigid carapace that supports the weight of the torso. The guard does not need to use his muscles to stand anymore. The coat stands for him. He is suspended inside the frozen garment like a chrysalis inside a cocoon. The cold has penetrated the deepest layers of the clothing, turning the linen shirt into a sheet of ice against the skin. But the skin has lost its ability to complain. The nerve endings have gone dormant. The surface of the body is a cold, numb frontier that has been surrendered to the enemy. The life has retreated to the citadel of the heart. The breath is a shallow, rhythmic pulse. The ice mask formed by the scarf has grown thick and heavy. It seals the mouth completely. The guard breathes through the nose, drawing the freezing air in through nostrils that feel like tubes of glass. The air is sharp, sterile, and dry. It desiccates the lungs. It steals the moisture from the blood. Each exhalation is a tiny puff of white fog that adds to the ice on the scarf. The guard is building his own tomb, breath by breath. He is encasing himself in his own exhaust. The cycle is efficient, cold, and deadly. The visual field is dominated by the grain of the night. The low light causes the eyes to hallucinate texture where there is none. The darkness swarms with millions of tiny gray dots, a visual static that overlays the falling snow. The snowflakes themselves are ghostly smears of lighter gray against the dark. They do not look like flakes anymore. They look like tears in the fabric of the night. The guard stares into this static. He sees patterns that form and dissolve. A spiral of gray. A grid of black. A face in the static. No, just the random noise of the dying retina. The brain is starving for input, so it invents its own. The numbness has claimed the stomach and the lower back. The sensation of the internal organs is fading. The guard feels hollow. He feels as if his torso is an empty cavern where the wind blows. The hunger is gone. The thirst is gone. The biological needs have been suspended. He is a machine of duty that requires no fuel. He runs on the inertia of the watch. He runs on the memory of the order. Stand. The order is etched into the frozen gray matter of the brain. It is the only file that remains accessible. The texture of the darkness is velvet and iron. It is soft to the eye but hard to the spirit. It presses against the mind, smoothing out the wrinkles of thought. There are no complex ideas left. There is no philosophy. There is no strategy. There is only the noun and the verb: snow, fall, guard, stand. The simplification of the mind is a relief. To think would be to suffer. To not think is to endure. The guard embraces the simplicity. He becomes a noun. He becomes an object. The musket barrel has gathered a significant ridge of snow along its length. It looks like a white line drawn in the air. The metal is buried. The wood is buried. The hands are buried. The weapon has become a part of the snow drift. The guard feels the weight of the snow on the gun, but he cannot feel the gun itself. The connection is purely gravitational. The arm hangs from the shoulder. The gun hangs from the arm. It is a chain of weights. The shoulder joint is the anchor point, a burning knot of tension that has long since turned to a dull, throbbing ache. The guard accepts the ache. It is the proof that he is still holding on. The silence of the city is a heavy blanket. It muffles the soul. The guard tries to remember the sound of a voice. Any voice, his mother's voice, the sergeant's voice, a market vendor's voice, but the memory is faint like a radio signal from a distant planet. It is drowned out by the static of the winter. The only voice is the wind, and the wind says nothing. It only whispers hush. The guard obeys. He hushes his memory. He lets the silence fill him up. The smell of the burning wick is strong and acrid. It smells of carbon and despair. It is the scent of the end of the line. The oil, the lifeblood of the lantern, is spent. Now the lantern consumes itself. The guard watches the dying flame with a sense of kinship. He is also consuming himself. He is burning his own reserves. He is burning the fat, the muscle, the will. When the wick is gone, the light goes out. When the will is gone, the man goes out. They are synchronized. The snow accumulation on the shoulders has bridged the gap to the head. The guard is now a continuous slope of white. The snow on the cap meets the snow on the collar. The neck is enclosed in a collar of ice. The head is locked in place. The range of motion is zero. The guard cannot turn his head to the left or right. He is forced to look straight ahead into the infinite gray tunnel. This forced perspective creates a tunnel vision of the mind. He can only think forward. He cannot look back. The past is behind him, locked away by the ice. The deep blue tones of the night have vanished completely. The world is a study in black, charcoal, and dirty white. The color has been drained from the universe. The red of the tunic is a black patch. The gold of the lace is a gray smudge. The visual style is crude, heavy, primitive. It looks like a drawing made by a tired hand in a dark room. The guard feels crude. He feels like a rough sketch of a man, not a finished portrait. The details are lost. The fingers are not drawn. The toes are not drawn. Only the shape remains. A sudden tremor runs through the earth, or perhaps it is just the body. A deep, seismic shudder that starts in the pelvis and rolls up the spine. It shakes the snow from the coat. Whump! A sheet of ice slides off the chest and crashes into the drift. The guard feels the loss of the weight. He feels exposed. The fresh layer of wool is bared to the wind. The cold rushes in to claim the new territory. The shudder passes, leaving behind a wave of exhaustion so profound it feels like nausea. The energy cost of the movement was too high. The guard resolves to be still. Stillness is energy conservation. Stillness is life. The lantern flame gives a sudden, violent flicker. It jumps up, a tall, thin tongue of orange fire illuminating the falling snow for a split second with startling clarity. The guard sees the individual flakes, the texture of the iron bars, the rough grain of the stone. It is a flash of reality. Then the flame collapses, shrinking to a pinprick. The darkness rushes back in, heavier than before. The flashbulb memory lingers on the retina, a negative image of the world, white shadows and black snow. The guard blinks, trying to clear the afterimage. It persists, a ghost of the light. The thoughts in the mind are drifting like the snow. They are not connected. A boot, a fire, a bird, they float by unanchored. The narrative of the self is breaking down. The guard is no longer a protagonist in a story. He is a setting. He is a location where the snow falls. I am the gate, he thinks. I am the wall. The dissolution of the ego is complete. There is no I to be cold. There is only the cold. The cold finds the armpits, a vulnerable spot where the heat usually gathers. The wind has found a way in through the sleeve, traveling up the tunnel of the arm to the core. It feels like a cold hand reaching into the coat. The guard presses his arms tight against his sides, trying to close the tunnel. The muscles are stiff and unyielding. The seal is imperfect. The cold hand remains, touching the ribs, stealing the warmth. The guard shivers internally, a vibration of the soul. The weight of the sky is palpable. The clouds are low, heavy, and full of ice. They press down on the treetops. They press down on the palace. They press down on the guard. He feels the atmospheric pressure compressing his joints. He is being squeezed by the weather. He is being compacted. He imagines himself becoming denser, harder, smaller. A diamond of ice formed by the pressure of the night. The visual focus shifts to the falling snow in the immediate foreground. The flakes are large, wet, and complex. They fall in slow motion. The guard tracks a single flake. It drifts down, spiraling, catching the faint light of the dying wick. It lands on the wool of the sleeve. It sits there, a tiny, intricate star. The guard watches it melt. The points of the star round off. The white turns to clear. The crystal turns to a drop. The drop freezes. The cycle of water. The guard is the witness to the physics of the storm. The silence is interrupted by the sound of a distant crack. A stone in the pavement miles away splitting with the frost. Tink, a sharp, high sound. It travels through the ground, up the legs of the guard and into his ears. The earth is breaking. The cold is too strong for the stone. If the stone breaks, what chance does the flesh have? The guard considers this. The flesh is soft. Maybe soft things survive better. They bend. They do not crack. He tries to be soft. He tries to yield to the cold rather than fight it. The hunger has returned as a phantom sensation. The mouth tastes of roast beef. The nose smells fresh bread. It is a cruel hallucination. The brain is firing random sensory memories to keep itself awake. The guard salivates, but the saliva is thick and cold. He swallows the phantom meal. It tastes of copper and ice. He chews on the nothingness. He is fed by the dark. The lantern wick is burning low. The flame is now licking the metal of the burner. Sizzle, a faint sound of grease and fire. The metal is heating up, glowing a dull red. The light is shifting spectrum again. It is becoming infrared, heat light. The guard stares at the glowing metal. It looks like an eye. A red, angry eye watching him from the box of glass. He stares back. He does not blink. He cannot blink. The eyelids are heavy with rime. The snow has buried the musket butt. The weapon is now standing in the snow on its own. The guard's hand is just resting on it. The snow is the gun rack. The guard feels a moment of relief. The weight is off the arm, but he does not let go. To let go is to abandon the post. He keeps his hand frozen to the stock. The touch is the bond. The bond is the duty. The texture of the drawing becomes chaotic near the edges. The artist has scribbled black lines over the gray background. The wind is a scribble. The night is a mess of lines. The guard stands in the center of the chaos, a pillar of order. He is the vertical line in a world of diagonal scratches. He holds the composition together. Without him, the drawing would be just noise. The cold in the thighs is a deep, solid block of sensation. The quadriceps are frozen meat. The femur is a rod of ice. The guard feels top-heavy. His base is numb and non-existent. He feels like he could tip over at any moment, but the snow holds him. The snow packs him in. He is secure in the drift. He is planted. The breath cloud is now a constant companion. It obscures the view of the dying lantern. The guard looks through a fog of his own making. The light is diffused, spreading out into a soft, bloody glow. It looks like a sunset on a cloudy day, a sunset at the end of the world. The guard watches the sunset. He waits for the night to end, but the sunset is just the light of the lamp. The true night is eternal. The silence rings louder. Ee. It varies in pitch. It goes up. It goes down. It is a melody. The guard hums along with it inside his skull. It is the anthem of the hypothermia. He knows the words. The words are silence. He sings the silence. The darkness presses against the eyeballs. It feels like thumbs pressing on the lids. The pressure is comfortable. It invites sleep. Just close your eyes, the darkness says. Just rest. The guard fights the thumbs. He keeps the lids lifted. He keeps the iris exposed. He drinks the gray light. He refuses the black sleep. The snow accumulation has reached the belt. The waist is buried. The guard is half a man. The bottom half is winter. The top half is soldier. The line of demarcation is rising. Soon he will be all winter. He watches the snow creep up the buttons of the coat. 1 button, 2 buttons. He counts the progress of the burial. The wind swirls around the head looking for a way in. It lifts the ear flap of the cap slightly. Snap. The cold rushes into the ear canal. It is a spike of pain. The guard winces. The face muscles are stiff, so the wince is just a tremor of the eyelid. The wind laughs, whoosh. It drops the ear flap. It plays with him. It knows he cannot move. It knows he is a toy. The smell of the snow is pure. It smells of the upper atmosphere. It smells of starlight and vacuum. The guard inhales the cosmos. He breathes the universe. It is cold. It is empty. It is beautiful. The lantern flame is sputtering. Pop, pop. It is the death rattle of the fire. The light jumps and dives. The shadows dance a frantic dance. The world is strobing, gray, black, gray, black. The guard feels dizzy. The strobe effect disorients the inner ear. He feels like he is falling into the snow, falling into the dark. He grips the musket harder. He anchors himself to the wood. He holds on. The wool of the greatcoat is now a part of the body. The guard cannot tell where the skin ends and the fabric begins. They are fused by the ice. He is a creature of wool and flesh, a hybrid, adapted for the cold or dying from it. The distinction is irrelevant. The silence returns. The flame settles. The strobe stops. The world is gray again. The guard stands. The snow falls. The night waits. The night has cemented itself into a permanent state of geological heaviness. It is no longer a temporary condition of the diurnal cycle, but a fixed era of darkness that stretches from the frozen earth to the starless void above. The atmosphere has thickened into a medium that resembles cured rubber, dense, resistant, and opaque. The guard stands encased in this black substance, a solitary inclusion in the amber of the winter. The snow accumulation has risen relentlessly, swallowing the belt, the waist, and now pressing against the lower ribs. The bottom half of the uniform is entirely lost to the white geology. The guard is no longer a man standing on pavement. He is a man emerging from a glacier, or perhaps a man sinking into one. The distinction has become irrelevant. The snow is the ground, and the ground is rising. The lantern has entered the terminal phase of its existence. The oil is a memory. The wick is a charred skeleton. The flame has detached itself from the burner and hovers as a ghostly, spherical aura of deep crimson, feeding on the last vaporous fumes of the reservoir. It produces no functional light. It offers no illumination to the surrounding world. It serves only as a point of reference, a singular red coordinate in a universe of infinite gray. The light it casts is the color of dried blood, a rusty stain that smears across the glass housing and dies before it reaches the snow. In the vintage charcoal drawing of this moment, the artist has abandoned the yellow and orange pastels, using only the deepest browns and the blackest charcoals to render the scene. The world is a bruise. The world is a shadow. The wind has ceased to be a separate entity. It has merged with the stillness. The air pressure is immense, a crushing weight that pushes in on the chest from all sides. It feels as if the guard is standing at the bottom of a deep ocean trench where the water is black and cold and heavy. The silence is the pressure. It presses against the eardrums with a physical force. It pushes the thoughts deep into the recesses of the brain, compressing them into tiny, dense diamonds of instinct. Stand, wait, endure. There is no room for other words. The skull is full of the silence. The sensation of the body is one of complete petrification. The torso has become a block of granite. The ribs are bands of iron. The heart is a small bird trapped in a cage of stone, fluttering slowly, weakly against the bars. Thump, pause, thump, pause. The rhythm is agonizingly slow. The guard listens to the pauses. They are long. They are getting longer. In the silence between the beats, he wonders if the next one will come. He waits for it. He anticipates it. And when it comes, a dull, muffled impact in the center of the chest, he feels a mild surprise. The engine is still turning. The machine is still on. The breath has become a visible architecture. The ice mask on the scarf has grown upwards and outwards, forming a grotesque snout of white rime. It connects the chin to the nose. It connects the scarf to the collar. The guard is sealed inside a helmet of his own making. The air he breathes is poor and thin. It has been breathed before. It tastes of exhaustion. It tastes of the end. The carbon dioxide builds up in the blood, creating a narcotic haze. The mind floats in this haze, untethered from the reality of the cold. The pain is distant. The numbness is a warm blanket. It is a dangerous comfort. The visual field is a study in deterioration. The grain of the night has become the dominant feature. The world is made of static. The falling snowflakes are black holes in the gray field. They look like motes of dust in a darkened room. The guard stares through the static. He sees shapes that move with a fluid grace. He sees horses galloping in the snow. He sees ships sailing on the black ocean. He knows they are not real. He knows they are the dreams of the optic nerve, but he watches them anyway. They are better than the nothingness. They are the entertainment of the void. The cold has claimed the solar plexus. The center of the body is freezing. The stomach is a knot of ice. The liver is a stone. The kidneys are frozen pebbles. The cold radiates from the center, moving outwards to meet the cold coming from the skin. When the two colds meet, the circuit will be closed. The guard feels the approaching union. He feels the internal winter meeting the external winter. He is the meeting place. He is the threshold. The texture of the darkness is gritty. It feels like cold dust is suspended in the air. It coats the eyes. It coats the throat. The guard swallows the darkness. It is dry and abrasive. It scrapes the esophagus. It fills the empty stomach with the weight of the night. He is eating the shadow. He is becoming the shadow. The musket is now a structural reinforcement. The snow has packed so tightly around it that it stands independently, a vertical strut supporting the arm. The guard leans heavily on it. If the musket were to vanish, he might fall forward into the drift, but the musket is there. It is faithful. It is frozen. The wood of the stock has split in the cold, a long, hairline crack running from the trigger guard to the butt plate. The guard hears the wood groan occasionally. Creak. It is a sound of shared suffering. The tree that made the wood is remembering the winter. The guard remembers with it. The silence of the city is the silence of a forgotten age. It feels as if the city has crumbled to dust, leaving only the snow-covered ruins. There are no bells, there are no wheels, there are no dogs. The guard is the last sentient being on the planet. He stands at the gate of a palace that may no longer exist. He guards a king who may be a ghost. The duty is abstract. The duty is a ritual performed for an empty theater, but the ritual is everything. The ritual is the spine. The smell of the dying lantern is the smell of scorching metal. The wick is gone. The flame is burning the residue on the burner. It is a harsh chemical smell. It stings the frozen nose. It is the scent of failure. The quartermaster failed. The supply line failed. The oil failed. Only the guard has not failed. He stands in the dark, smelling the smoke of the defeat and refuses to yield. He is the last light, even if he does not burn. The snow accumulation has reached the mid-chest. The buttons of the tunic are buried. The crossbelt is buried. The guard is submerged up to his sternum. The snow presses against the diaphragm, making it hard to inhale. Every breath is a fight against the weight of the drift. The chest must push the snow away to expand. Push. Inhale. Relax. Exhale. The snow pushes back. It is a slow wrestling match with the earth. The earth is winning, but the guard has not tapped out. The deep blue of the sky is a memory. The sky is black, a matte, flat black that absorbs all hope. There is no reflection from the clouds. The clouds are too thick. The world is a closed box. The guard is the toy soldier left inside the box when the lid is closed. He stands in the dark, waiting for the child to open the box again. But the child has gone to sleep. The box will stay closed for a long time. A sudden sound from the trees. Snap. A branch gives way under the weight of the snow. It crashes down through the undergrowth, hitting other branches on the way. Crash, thump, swish. The sound is shockingly loud in the silence. It sounds like a building collapsing. The guard's eyes flick to the left, but the head does not turn. He sees only the movement of the shadows. a dark shape falling through the dark air. It settles into the snow. The silence rushes back in to heal the wound in the air. The event is over. The tree is smaller. The snow is deeper. The thoughts in the mind are circular and repetitive. Cold, weight, dark, snow, they rotate like a carousel. There is no beginning and no end. The guard tries to introduce a new thought, summer. The word appears in the mind, but it has no meaning. It is just a collection of letters. SUMMER, it does not evoke heat. It does not evoke green. It is a dead word. The guard discards it. He returns to the live words. Cold, weight, dark, snow. The wool of the greatcoat has lost all flexibility. It is a suit of cast iron. The guard feels the ridges of the fabric pressing into his skin. The coat has shrunk in the cold. It squeezes the torso. It is a corset of ice. It holds him together. If the coat were to loosen, he feels he might dissolve into a puddle of water. The coat gives him shape. The coat defines the boundaries of the man. The light from the lantern is now a single, pulsating red dot. It looks like a distant star in a dying galaxy. It is weak, pathetic, and incredibly precious. The guard focuses his entire being on that red dot. He pours his will into it. He feeds it with his own energy. Stay, he thinks, stay. The dot dims. The guard panics, a slow, frozen panic. Then the dot brightens again. The guard exhales. The connection holds. The numbness in the arms is absolute. The guard cannot feel his shoulders. He cannot feel his elbows. He cannot feel his hands. The arms are visual appendages only. He sees them hanging at his sides, or rather, resting on the snow that has risen to meet them, but he does not inhabit them. He is a torso with a head. The rest is furniture. The rest is prop. The texture of the drawing is muddy. The blacks and browns are smeared together. The lines are lost. The artist is tired. The charcoal is crumbling. The guard feels the crumbling. He feels his edges blurring. Am I the snow? Am I the night? He cannot tell. He is a smudge on the paper, a dark mark in a white field. The cold in the throat is a shard of glass. Every swallow is a laceration. The mucus has frozen. The throat is dry and raw. The guard tries not to swallow. He lets the saliva pool in the mouth, but there is no saliva. There is only the dry, metallic taste of the penny. The penny is stuck to the tongue. The tongue is stuck to the roof of the mouth. The mouth is a frozen cave. The silence has a rhythm. It pulses with the wind. Hush, hush, hush. It is a slow heartbeat of the air. The guard synchronizes his breathing with the hush. The wind breathes out, he breathes in. The wind breathes in, he breathes out. He is exchanging air with the storm. He is becoming the storm. The snow on the cap is a heavy burden. It forces the head down. The chin is buried in the scarf. The eyes are looking out from under the eyebrows like a cave dweller looking out of a cave. The brow is heavy. The mind is heavy. The thoughts are heavy. Gravity is the only law that matters. Everything is being pulled down. The snow pulls the sky down. The cold pulls the life down. The guard resists. He pulls up. The hunger is a distant memory of a memory. The guard remembers that he used to eat. He used to sit at a table. He used to use a spoon. These seem like the rituals of a different species. A soft, warm species that lives in the sun. He is not that species anymore. He is a winter creature. He feeds on the cold. He drinks the wind. He is sustained by the frost. The lantern flame gives a low hiss. The last drop of oil is boiling away. The red dot wavers. It splits into two dots, then merges back into one. The guard watches the mitosis of the fire. It is a biological event. The fire is dying. It is in pain. The guard feels the pain of the fire. It is a sharp, stinging pain in the center of the forehead. The third eye is blind. The accumulation of snow on the chest acts as insulation. It blocks the wind. The guard feels a paradoxical warmth where the snow is deepest. It is the warmth of the igloo. The snow is protecting him from the air. He appreciates the snow. It is a heavy blanket, but it is a blanket. He snuggles into the drift. He lets it hold him. The shadows of the trees have vanished. The light is too weak to cast shadows. The darkness is uniform. The contrast is gone. The world is a flat plane of gray. The depth perception is zero. The guard does not know if the gate is 5 feet away or 5 miles. It does not matter. He is not going to the gate. He is staying here. The wind shifts to the east. It brings a new smell, the smell of the river, the smell of ice on water. It is a clean, sharp smell. It cuts through the smoke of the lantern. It reminds the guard of the flow. The river is moving under the ice. The water is traveling. The guard is not traveling. He is the stone in the riverbed. The water moves around him. The visual focus is on the space between the eyes and the lantern. The air is thick with particles, ice dust, soot, snow. The guard sees the air as a solid medium. He is looking through a block of dirty glass. The glass is flawed. It distorts the world. It makes the lantern look like a bleeding wound in the sky. The numbness has reached the neck. The skin of the throat is frozen. The collar of the greatcoat is a ring of ice. The guard feels like he is being strangled by the winter. The grip is slow and firm. It does not choke, it squeezes. It restricts the flow of blood to the head. The brain is starving. The lights in the mind are dimming. The voltage is dropping. The silence rings with a new tone, a low, vibrating ohm. It is the sound of the Earth's rotation. The guard hears the planet turning. It grinds on its axis. It is a heavy, rusty machine. It turns slowly, too slowly. It is stuck in the night side. The sun is stuck on the other side. The mechanism is broken. The guard waits for the repairman, but no one comes. The snow rises past the sternum. It touches the clavicle. The guard is buried to the neck. He is a head on a platter of snow. The body is a memory. He can no longer feel the legs, the waist, the chest. He assumes they are there. He assumes he is still a whole man, but the evidence is lacking. He is a consciousness trapped in a frozen skull, floating on a sea of white. The lantern flame flickers once, twice, 3 times. Dark, light, dark, light, dark. The intervals of darkness are longer. The light struggles to return. It crawls back up the wick. It is a desperate struggle. The guard cheers for the light in his mind. Come on, come on. The light stabilizes, but it is dimmer. It is a mere spark, a firefly in the winter. The texture of the stone wall is gone. The wall is a sheet of ice. The guard knows it is behind him. He feels the cold radiating from it. The wall is a refrigerator coil. It cools his back. It draws the heat out of the spine. The spine is a superconductor of cold. The thoughts are fragments: ice, blue, stand, mother, no, stand. The guard sorts through the fragments. He looks for the useful ones. He discards the emotional ones. Mother is dangerous. Mother is warm. He keeps ice. He keeps stand. These are the tools of the trade. The wool of the scarf is a solid gag. The mouth is filled with wool and ice. The tongue pushes against the blockage. It is immovable. The guard is silenced. He cannot call for help. He cannot report. He can only witness. He is the mute testimony of the storm. The deep blue of the universe is gone. There is only the black. The black is heavy. It pours into the ears. It pours into the nose. It fills the head. The guard feels his brain turning black. The neurons are firing darkness. The thoughts are ink. The sensation of time is lost. There is no time. There is only the state of freezing. It is an eternal present. The guard has always been here. He will always be here. The past is a dream. The future is a rumor. The now is the ice. The wind drops. The air becomes still. The snow falls straight down, vertical lines of white on black. The guard watches the lines. They are bars of a cage. He is inside the cage. The cage is beautiful. The cage is cold. The lantern gives a soft pop. The flame turns blue. It detaches from the wick completely. It floats for a second, a blue sphere of spirit. Then it vanishes. The light is gone. The darkness is absolute. The guard stands in the blind night. The snow touches the chin. The extinction of the lantern is not an event of noise or drama. It is a quiet subtraction of the last variable of warmth from the equation of the night. The blue sphere of the spirit flame has vanished, and with it, the visual definition of the immediate world. The darkness that rushes in to fill the vacuum is absolute, aggressive, and total. It does not merely occupy the space, it conquers it. The guard is no longer looking into a dim, orange-tinted gloom. He is staring into a wall of solid obsidian. The glass of the lantern housing, once a window to a small, contained fire, is now just another cold, hard surface in a world of cold, hard surfaces. The wire cage that protected the glass is invisible. The iron hook is invisible. The wall is invisible. The guard is blind, suspended in a void that has no top, no bottom, and no sides. The smell of the extinguished wick is the only proof that the light ever existed. It is a sharp, pungent aroma of charred cotton and hot, cooling metal. It hangs in the freezing air, unable to rise, trapped by the heavy atmosphere. The guard inhales this scent. It is the incense of the end. It stings the frozen membranes of the nose, a chemical signal that the watch has entered its final, darkest phase. The metal of the burner clicks as it cools. Tick, tick, tick. The sounds are microscopic, the dying groans of the machinery. The heat radiates away from the metal, sucked into the voracious mouth of the winter. In seconds, the lantern is as cold as the stone, as cold as the snow, as cold as the hand that does not touch it. The sensation of the body has been reduced to a singular point of consciousness floating in a sea of numbness. The guard no longer feels the snow pressing against his legs, hips, or chest, though he knows the pressure is there. The nerves have stopped reporting the condition of the periphery. The brain has drawn the boundaries of the self tighter and tighter. The self now exists only within the skull and the ribcage. The rest of the body has been annexed by the storm. The arms are foreign objects. The legs are myths. The boots are ancient history. The guard is a mind trapped in a statue of ice, thinking slow, heavy thoughts that tumble through the dark like stones falling down a well. The snow accumulation continues its relentless, silent climb. It has swallowed the collar of the greatcoat. It is banking up against the chin. The scarf, already a solid block of ice, is now being buried in fresh powder. The guard feels the soft, wet touch of the new snow against his lower lip. It is a gentle, suffocating caress. The snow is trying to silence him completely. It is trying to fill the mouth, to seal the airway. The guard purses his lips tighter. He breathes through his nose, a shallow, whistling intake of air that feels like inhaling crushed glass. The air is too thin. The cold is too thick. The exchange of oxygen is a labor of Hercules. The wind has dropped to a whisper, but it is a whisper that comes from everywhere at once. It swirls in the darkness, a chaotic fluid that wraps around the head. It finds the gaps in the fur of the cap. It finds the exposed skin of the temples. It is a cold solvent dissolving the last resistance of the flesh. The guard feels his skin tightening, shrinking, turning into parchment. He imagines his face is becoming a skull, the skin pulling back to reveal the bone. It is not a frightening image, it is a clean one. Bone is durable, bone is white, bone belongs in the winter. The visual field is a canvas of pure noise. The brain, deprived of all photon input, begins to generate its own light. Swirls of purple and green phosphorescence float in the abyss. Geometric patterns of gray grid lines form and collapse. These are the phantoms of the retina. The guard watches them with a detached fascination. They are the only entertainment left. He sees a tunnel of light opening up in the center of the dark. He knows it is not real. He knows it is the tunnel of the fading consciousness. He does not enter the tunnel. He stays at his post. He forces the phantom light away. He embraces the black. The silence of the city is now the silence of the grave. The world beyond the snow has ceased to exist. There is no king, there is no queen, there is no palace. There is only the physics of the ice. The guard is not guarding a person or a building, he is guarding the concept of stillness. He is the high priest of the 0-degree temple. His duty is to stand until the time itself freezes. The thought of relief has vanished. There is no one coming. The relief guard has frozen in his bed. The sergeant has frozen in his office. The world has stopped. The guard is the only moving part, and he is slowing down. The texture of the darkness is heavy and granular. It feels like wet sand packed against the eyes. The guard tries to blink, but the eyelids are heavy with rime. They move slowly, scraping over the eyeball. Scrape. The sensation is dry and gritty. The tears have frozen. The eyes are marbles of glass. The guard keeps them open. To close them would be to surrender to the sleep. The sleep is waiting. It is a warm, dark pool at the feet of the mind. Just slide in, the sleep whispers. It is warm here. It is soft. The guard refuses. He stares into the grit. He stares into the sand. The musket is lost. The hand that holds it is lost. The arm that connects the hand to the body is lost. The weapon has been subsumed by the drift. It is a steel bar reinforcing the wall of snow. The guard knows he is holding it only because he remembers holding it. The memory is the only link. If he forgets the musket, does it cease to exist? If he forgets himself, does he cease to exist? The questions are heavy. They sink into the dark. The breath cloud is invisible in the dark. The guard cannot see the fog he creates. He can only feel the heat leaving his body. Every exhalation is a surrender of calories. Every inhalation is an acceptance of the cold. He is equalizing with the environment. He is becoming the ambient temperature. The difference between the man and the storm is narrowing. Soon, there will be no difference. Soon, there will be only the storm. The deep blue of the memory of the sky has been painted over with vantablack. The universe is a sealed room. The guard feels the ceiling of the room pressing down on his head. The weight of the bearskin cap is the weight of the collapsed sky. The neck muscles have turned to stone to support it. The vertebrae are fused. The spine is a single column of calcium and ice. It vibrates with the low frequency of the earth. Hum. The cold has reached the center of the brain. The thoughts are moving through syrup. The processing speed is near zero. Cold, dark, snow. The gaps between the words are minutes long. The guard exists in the gaps. He rests in the silence between the thoughts. The silence is peaceful. It is not empty, it is full of potential. It is the silence before the beginning of the world, or after the end. The snow accumulation has reached the upper lip. The mustache is buried. The ice mask is buried. The nose is the last outpost. The guard breathes through the twin tunnels of his nostrils, keeping them clear by the sheer force of the exhalation. Puff, puff. He is a whale surfacing in a sea of ice. He blows his spout of air. He stays alive. The snow presses against the cheeks. It is a cold, wet hands holding his face. It is a mother's touch if the mother were made of ice. The smell of the cold is no longer a scent, it is a taste. It tastes of iron and old stars. It coats the back of the throat. It numbs the tongue. The guard tastes the vacuum of space. He is an astronaut standing on a dark planet. He is alone. The isolation is absolute. It is magnificent. There is no loneliness in the statue. The statue is complete in itself. The hunger is a ghost that has been exorcised. The thirst is a ghost. The pain is a ghost. The body has shed its needs. It has ascended to a higher state of existence, the state of pure endurance. The guard does not need food. He needs only the vertical. As long as he is vertical, he is fulfilling his purpose. If he falls, he fails. He does not fall. The snow holds him. The coat holds him. The dark holds him. The vintage drawing of the scene is now just a black page. The artist has covered every inch of the paper with the hardest charcoal. There is no light left to draw. The viewer must imagine the figure in the dark. The figure is there. A dense concentration of shadow in the center of the blackness. An area where the darkness is slightly more solid. The guard is the density. He is the black hole in the night. The silence is interrupted by the sound of the guard's own pulse in his ears. It has slowed to a crawl. Thump, thump, thump. It is a slow geological rhythm. It sounds like the movement of tectonic plates. The heart is strong. It is stubborn. It refuses to stop. It pushes the thick, cold blood through the frozen pipes. It is the hero of the story. The guard listens to his heart. He respects it. He cheers it on in the silence. The wind shifts again. It comes from above, a downdraft of freezing air. It pushes the snow down. It packs the drift tighter. It cements the guard into his hole. He feels the compression. He is being fossilized in real time. He is becoming part of the bedrock. Future generations will find him here, a layer of wool and bone in the strata of the city. The royal guard, standing. The thoughts have stopped. There are no more words. There is only being. The guard exists. He is awareness without content. He is a camera with the lens cap on, recording the darkness. The tape runs. The darkness is recorded, minute after minute, hour after hour. The record of the night is written in the neurons of the frozen brain. The cold in the eyes is a sharp needles. The guard blinks, a slow, viscous movement. Close. Open. The darkness does not change. There is no difference between the open eye and the closed eye, but he knows the difference. The open eye is duty. The closed eye is sleep. He keeps the eye open. He stares at the invisible enemy. The snow rises past the nose. The guard tilts his head back slightly, a microscopic movement of the stiff neck. He seeks the air. He creates a small pocket of breathing space in front of his face. The heat of his breath melts a tiny cavern in the snow. He lives in this cavern. He is a microscopic organism in a bubble of air. The world outside the bubble is white death. The world inside is life. The sensation of time is circular. The darkness rotates around the guard. He feels the spin of the shadows. He is the axis. The world turns around him. He is the only fixed point. The stars turn unseen. The city turns unseen. The guard stands. He anchors the rotation. If he moves, the world might fly apart, so he holds it together. The wool of the greatcoat is rock. It is indistinguishable from the stone of the wall. The guard is wearing a castle. He is a fortification. The wind breaks against him. The snow piles up against him. He breaks the weather. He is the breakwater of the storm. The lantern cools completely. The glass cracks with a sharp tink. The sound is loud in the silence. The guard registers it. The housing has failed. The light is gone. The The glass is broken. It is the final degradation of the post, but the guard remains. He is more durable than the glass. He is more durable than the oil. He is the ultimate material. The darkness enters the mind. It fills the spaces between the memories. It erases the childhood. It erases the name. It erases the face. There is no identity left. There is only the guard, the archetype, the symbol. The guard stands. The guard waits. The guard endures. The individual is gone. The symbol remains. The snow touches the eyelashes. It rests on the lids. It is heavy. It wants to close the eyes. The guard fights the weight. He lifts the lids. He pushes the snow away with his gaze. He burns a hole in the dark with his will. I see you, he says to the night. I see you. The silence deepens. It becomes a vacuum. It sucks the sound out of the atoms. The vibration of the atoms slows down. The universe is cooling. The heat death is here. The guard is the witness to the end of thermodynamics. He stands in the 0-point field. He is the absolute zero. The morning is a rumor, a myth told by the warm. There is no morning here. There is only the shade of gray that might, eventually, perhaps, lighten the black by a fraction of a degree. But it is not morning yet. It is the deep trench of the night, the deepest point, the crushing depth. The guard feels a shift in the air pressure, a slight lifting, a microscopic lightening of the heavy atmosphere. Is it the dawn, or just a pause in the storm? He does not know, he does not hope, he observes. The darkness changes texture. It goes from velvet to flannel. It is still black, but a softer black, a breathable black. The snow stops rising. It holds at the level of the nose. The equilibrium is reached. The burial is suspended. The guard breathes. In, out. The air is still cold. The dark is still heavy. But the rising has stopped. He has survived the flood. He is the high water mark. The stillness is absolute. The guard is a statue in a garden of ice. The snow covers his shoulders, his head, his face. He is a white mound in a dark courtyard. To a passerby, he would look like a snowdrift shaped like a man. But inside the drift, there is a heart. Inside the drift, there is an eye. Inside the drift, there is a will. The will says, stand. The snow says, sleep. The dark says, fade. The guard listens to them all. He accepts the snow. He accepts the dark, but he obeys the will. He stands. The gray light of a sunless dawn begins to touch the very top of the sky, miles above the clouds. It does not reach the ground. It does not reach the guard. But the darkness knows it is coming. The black retreats a single step. The charcoal becomes slate. The guard feels the shift. He feels the turning of the tide. The night is over. The day, such as it is, has begun. But the watch is not over. The watch is never over. He stands in the snow. He stands in the dark. He stands in the silence. He stands.